Well, guys, we are back for another episode of the Liberal Asshole Show, episode 125. And what are today's topics?
The Trump administration caught in intelligence leak scandal. I am loving the memes of that coming out from that one. Trump's plan to steal elections. Braindead Joe Rogan has Nazi on his show. Base Shuckle Walz make MAGA Retards rage. Sam Cedar destroys conservative morons again. And stupid dum-dum leftists do major horseshoe theory.
Oh boy, a lot of stuff we're going to be covering here. So what do we start with first?
Let's start with the intelligence leak scandal. I'm going to say now I am loving all the memes coming out of it because they are all so funny.
Yep, so of course, there was a major intelligence leak recently where admins and people in Trump's administration, when they were about to do strikes on Yemen, did their communications with each other on unsecure apps and all that, and they invited someone who wasn't supposed to be in there, and it got all leaked. Highly embarrassing, absolutely stupid.
Which is why you shouldn't have done that, you dipshits, and it's very serious.
So, yeah, absolutely pathetic and stupid, and of course, Trump and admin are defending me on making excuses at all costs that sound really stupid.
Of course they are. Of course, Tulsi, though she'll never face consequences, but Tulsi Gabbard perjured herself.
Oh my god, that was hilarious. Well, cause I saw Vosh's video earlier, and it was so sad seeing how bad she looked. Future rise and star Republicans. Bullshit. Fucking stupid cunt. So yeah, Kyle did a video on this, but it was so short, and it was so short and it was too recent, so I decided to do Mike's video instead. So let's see the cope and sieving that they're doing. And I know one thing for
dilate L plus ratio.
And all you dipshit Trumpsters, just remember, if this was under Biden, you would all be freak out and raging, but when it's under Trump, you defend it all
Remember
costs.
what happened with Hillary Clinton, how many fucking hundreds and hundreds of hearings they had, and how they couldn't stop talking about it well, they still can't. Still comes up occasionally.
They're doing whataboutism on Reddit because of it.
Of course they are.
All right,
that's all they've got.
All right, so let's see the cope.
And understand, when this story first broke, they were sort of alluding to were there war maps, or this, and there was no war plans on there.
There were all the war plans.
To do airstrikes on Yemen and all that.
So, the plot thickens. Listen, I did not put out a video this morning, so I thought that I would make a quick video
veiled threats and nuclear weapons,
addressing the big scandal that's taking place in D.C. It is the leaked chat that a bunch of folks in the Trump administration, including Mike Walz, Tulsi Gabbard,
everyone should be forced to resign,
and others, decided to include a journalist in on, which is...
not
surprising.
And you got in Tulsi Gabbard.
Look, this is what happens when you hire all of these.
Lock her up.
But then you'll be accused of being a misogynist, remember? You fucking moron.
I did. Tulsi Gabbard, the biggest fucking, one of the biggest fucking grifters in the world.
So I think that obviously there needs to be some accountability. I know it's laughable to even think that in the Trump administration they usually just push through. But, I mean, this one is so big, and it keeps getting so much more insane that I feel like maybe they'll sacrifice somebody just to make this story go away. Mike Waltz, possibly, he's taking full responsibility, but, I mean, also it should be Pete Hegseth as well, who's already proven that he's incompetent. Now, first and foremost, I just want to, before we get to some more juicier elements and insanity, quite frankly, I want to talk about whether or not this is something that is legal to share. I think the short answer is no, obviously, but according to NBC News, they explained that this information is...
Oh, he did a video on it?
Yep, he's done a video on it. It posted yesterday morning.
I'll have to check that out afterwards.
Illegal, even if it's not technically classified. The Espionage Act, the law that often has been used in criminal cases involving leaks or mishandling of classified information, contains a provision making it a crime to disclose national defense secrets through gross negligence. I think that's kind of what this is. They continue. The law does not require that the information be classified because it was written before the classification system existed. The law refers simply to national defense information. Long story short, they broke the law. They broke the law, and if we're going to have a system of rules
they broke
and
the law,
laws,
and they'll get away with it because they're them.
And if there was any other country, they wouldn't be getting away with it, people. but hopefully
No,
they
that'd
won't.
be
Somebody's
you
gotta pay
guys
for
and
it,
then us
right?
in Australia would be fucking bombing the shit out of them.
I know they basically don't hold themselves to the same standards that they hold everybody else to, but and I hate to play this game, just imagine that this was Joe Biden.
Like we
And
mentioned earlier,
Pete Buttigieg and a bunch of
as
other
I
folks
mentioned
leaked
earlier.
classified information or leaked
if this was senile old man Biden, you would all be shitting bricks over it. But when it's old man senile
Yep.
Trump, you defend it.
anything. They just accidentally included a journalist in their group text message, and they were talking about like what to get for lunch. This would be the scandal of the century. Republicans would turn this into Watergate 2.0 like that. So you bet your ass Democrats need to capitalize on this. Now, there's also an element of the story that we learned about today when Goldberg, the journalist from The Atlantic, who was included on these text messages, decided to release the receipts. They also admitted to doing a war crime in this group chat, just FYI. We now know of this, so I want to show you here. Quote, the first target, their top missile guy, we had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building, and it's now collapsed. That, my friends, is admission of a war crime. You are not supposed to target residential buildings, but here they are admitting to targeting a residential building and then celebrating it with emojis.
Stupid fucks.
Yeah. Can't say I'm surprised because we've been witnessing a genocide for more than a year now in Gaza, with Israel just indiscriminately bombing women and children and innocent people and hospitals and refugee camps. So I feel
by the way, they were killing Palestinians at the rates the Turks were killing Armenians in World War One. And it's
we've all
back
kind of
up,
become
and it's probably back up at that
desensitized to this,
level
but
again.
we still should be mad when our government commits war crimes, as normalized as it's become. Having said that, though, with regard to whether or not this information was classified, it seems like the consensus is, yeah, this was classified, even if it wasn't explicitly so. And even Donald Trump is admitting, kind of seems like it was classified.
Say it.
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know.
Now, yesterday, during a testimony, Tulsi Gabbard said it wasn't classified.
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then, if there was no classified material, share it with the committee.
Fucking grifters in the whole world.
Grifting cunt, fuck off.
Yep.
You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security.
Now, to be fair to Tulsi Gabbard, which nobody ever should be, you can't necessarily say that she committed perjury by asserting that the information wasn't classified, even though she's the director of national intelligence and should know better, because she can't just claim ignorance here.
But she is an idiot, and she should be disqualified and kicked out. She should have never been in the first place, like RK Jr.
She can't claim ignorance, however, is saying one thing and then having that information rebuked and then having to tap dance around, what I said yesterday, I just misremembered. She was basically tap dancing around the fact that she maybe committed perjury in yesterday's testimony. Let's watch.
Yesterday, Senator Heinrich asked, did this conversation, referring to the signal chat, include information on weapons, packages, targets, or timing? Director Patel, you said not that I'm aware of. Director Gabbard, you said same answer. This morning we learned that the signal chat included the following update, forward-looking update from the Secretary of Defense. Time now, 11:44 Eastern Time. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern Time. F-18 launch. First strike package. 13:45 trigger-based F-18. First strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch. MQ-9s. 14:10. More F-18s launch. Second strike package. Do either of the directors want to reflect on their testimony yesterday in the context of what I just read?
Sure. One, I was not on that signal chat. Two, I have not reviewed it. And three, as you just indicated, that was made public this morning.
But, Director, you didn't, prior to yesterday's Senate, you were on the signal chat, correct?
No.
Okay, but did you review the material on the signal chat?
No, I wasn't on it.
Director Gabbard?
Yes, Ranking Member. My answer yesterday was based on my recollection, or the lack thereof, on the details that were posted there. I was
Shut
not,
the
and
fuck up,
what
you-
was shared today reflects the fact that I was not directly involved with that part of the Signal chat and replied at the end, reflecting the effects, the very brief effects that the National Security Advisor had shared.
So it's your testimony that less than 2 weeks ago, you were on a Signal chat that had all of this information about F-18s and MQ-9 Reapers and targets on strike, and you in that 2-week period simply forgot that that was there. That's your testimony?
My testimony is I did not recall the exact details of what was included there.
Because you're a moron.
That was not your testimony. Your
And the
testimony
grifter.
was that you were
And
not
then a
aware
cunt.
of
And
anything
the-
related
and
to
a
weapons
massive
packages,
sack of
targets,
shit.
and timing.
Shit, who I'm surprised,
as-
who probably loves beating up Muslims in fantasies and wish she could dominate and
And is
do
in,
it on secret
and is
things
in
to
love with
Lama
Modi.
Mah. Yeah,
The
yeah.
testimony
and
yesterday
those things
continued
done
on.
to
There
her
were
by
further
Modi.
questions related to that, where I acknowledged that there was conversation about weapons, and I don't remember the exact wording that I used, but I did not recall the specific details that were included.
She is backed into a corner, and there's no way she can get out. She
and we
said
enjoyed
under
every
oath,
moment of it.
this information is not
Yep.
included in these
What?
texts. Turns out the information
Love
was
it.
included in the texts when the texts were released. Ergo, she committed perjury. And this is not just me throwing that term around. Jerry Nadler. Others are saying, yeah, actually, she should be charged with perjury. Same with Ratcliffe, because they both said one thing under oath. Turns out that's not true. Now, do I think that Gabbard and Ratcliffe will be charged with perjury? No. I don't
Absolutely
think that
not.
that's going to happen, obviously.
They're Republicans.
But is it funny
they've
to
got
watch them
immunity to
squirm?
prosecution
Yeah, because
they're
all that you
Republicans.
can really
The
do
double
to try to
standard
save yourself
between
from a perjury
everything.
charge, assuming you were just the regular person, is say, I don't recall saying this. You know, my memory is a little bit foggy. And then you have plausible deniability. If this were a regular person, by the way, they would be locked up for perjury. Since it's Tulsi Gabbard and Ratcliffe, since they are actual people with power, they will not be charged with perjury. I feel like that goes without saying, obviously. But the question is, will there be even a minimal amount of accountability? And another question is,
No,
how
no,
did
because
these
they're in
texts
the
even leak
in the
in the
Trump
first place? And Mike
administration.
Walz tried to explain it to Fox News' Laura Ingraham, and even she was like, okay.
So your staffer did not put his contact
not.
information.
No,
but how did it end up in your
well, that's
phone?
what we're trying to. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, but that's a pretty big problem.
That
If
is
there-
what.
if there are
That's what
numbers-
we've got the best technical
Yeah.
minds, right?
That's
And that's
disturbing.
where I mean, I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before, so how's the number on
This
your
is
phone?
pretty
I mean, I'm not
serious
an
though,
expert in
pal.
any
This
of
is
but
like
it's just
something on
how's the number on your
But,
phone?
well,
if you have
because
somebody
he's
else's
on their thing so that they can give favorable coverage to Israel and use his media company to promote Islamophobia.
And also these links that they're using are so insecure that Russia and China could easily hack and steal info, which is something that no one should want. But when you're idiots and also pro-Russian China, I'm not surprised.
Contact, and then somehow it gets
someone
sucked
sent
in.
you that
It gets
contact.
sucked in.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was
So
on
the
the chat?
person that
Imagine getting
I thought
grilled
was
by
on there
Laura Ingraham
was never
of all
on there.
people.
It was.
Who was that? What person?
Well,
idiots.
look, Laura, I take
What the
I
fuck?
take responsibility. I built the group.
So it kind of sounds like you're a careless dumbass. That's what I'm getting
Well,
from
it's all
this. And it
Republicans.
seems like you shouldn't be in this position.
Yep.
Now,
Yep,
I don't
that's
think
all
that Trump is
Republicans
going
are
to
now.
fire him, but could there be a possibility if the pressure continues and if the story
And it
doesn't
better.
go away that somebody says,
Yes,
hey,
it
you've got to
must.
resign, we'll sacrifice you to the wolves so that way the media shuts the fuck up? I think that that's possible, but not likely, because again, this administration has shown how rogue they are.
Because remember
Having
this,
said that, though, the
administration's
story
above
keeps
the
getting
law.
more insane somehow. Der Spiegel released this hell of a story. Private data and passwords of senior U.S. security
This
officials
is what I was talking about
found
just a moment ago.
online. Donald
Yeah.
Trump's most important security advisors used Signal to discuss an imminent military strike. Now, reporting by Der Spiegel has found that the contact data of some of those officials, including mobile phone numbers, is freely accessible on the internet. They explain, Private contact details
Absolutely
of the most
embarrassing.
important security advisors to U.S.
It
President
is.
Donald Trump can be found on the internet.
And
Der Spiegel
irresponsible
reporters
and
were
dangerous.
able to find mobile phone numbers,
No,
email
of course
addresses,
it is.
and
Always
even some
is.
passwords belonging to the top officials. To do so, the reporters used commercial people search engines along with hacked customer data that has been published on the web. Those affected by the leaks include National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Most of
one
the
of them
numbers
should
and
be
email
impeached
addresses are
immediately.
apparently still in use, with some of them linked to profiles on social media platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn. So the scandal is broadening as we begin to learn just how incompetent and, quite frankly, how reckless these people are. But it gets better, because the Venmo information of these politicians also leaked, and we know their Venmo contact list, and that includes journalists from the left and the right. And when I say left, more specifically, I mean the center, but you get the point. So this goes without saying, this is a massive scandal, and you have
basically all the
Democrats
pro-
now
all the
exerting more pressure.
pro-genocide
Chris Murphy, for
ones,
example,
two of the
others are
ones
calling on
calling
Pete Hegseth to
for
resign, since as
Palestine to be
the
nuked.
Secretary of Defense, the buck stops
Over
with him.
30
Will that
remember,
happen?
over
Probably
30
not.
Republicans
Will
have
somebody
called
get sacrificed just to save face? Maybe Mike Waltz. It's possible, but I mean, the administration doesn't really care. Do they even want to bother to placate the public?
administration is
It depends
above
on,
the law,
how much people
remember?
care about this story. I
As
think
bad as
the
it
extent
is.
to which this is going to stick is going to hinge on how much the media continues to cover it and how often Democrats plug away at it. I think that this story should not,
The media could fall away
be
on it a
covered
fair
to the
bit,
detriment
but
of
the
other
Democrats
genuine
won't do anything
scandals, like
because
the
they're
way that
MAGA now.
Doge is destroying Social Security, and there's been multiple outages. So I think that we've got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. But should Democrats turn this into the biggest fucking scandal since Benghazi? Hell yes, they should. They absolutely should. Anything that they can latch onto that might
Anything that
stick,
takes
they should
Trump
do that.
and
Because
Republicans
however
down a
they're
peg is
able to
always
hold
good.
this administration accountable
Yeah.
and rein in their rogue behavior,
Yeah.
they've got to do that. And this is one of those stories
They
that I
cry
think
and moan
might
and
kind
sob.
of trigger the reptilian
Yep,
mechanism in the brains of
mold,
normies,
Steve,
where they
violate
think that,
L
oh, okay,
ratio.
we're not safe with these people. Although it's hard to say how the public is going to view this either way. I think that it's a scandal that is worth talking about. Should it have disproportionate focus
Darn
weeks at a
Americans do
time?
think it's a
I don't
major
necessarily
scandal.
know. We'll wait to see how much bigger the scandal gets, but it's deepening. It's getting more embarrassing. And look, I for one love to see these people squirm, because these are terrible
Oh, just
people.
watch
They're
Vosh's video on Tulsi. It was like an hour long, and oh my god, it was glorious.
They're rogue. They're destroying our government.
right.
And
All right.
to see them
I'll give it a
basically
shot.
look like the dipshits that they are to the American people, I take great pleasure in that. So, good job, everyone. I'm so glad that you included this journalist in on this text chat, because the results are great. And I hope that Donald Trump feels bad that he wasn't included in this text chat.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
He's
got-
mad. He'd be molded. It'd be coping, molding, seething, dilating, all that because he wasn't in the chat.
So what do you guys say about this embarrassing scandal, as always?
Hilarious incompetence.
Hopefully,
Absolute hilarity and incompetence. I love it.
Dems, please just keep hammering us like Republicans do with Benghazi every single day, because I want all freebies and everyone involved to get impeached and kicked out. Every single one of them. No excuses. They all need to go. Unacceptable, and what they did was irresponsible and dangerous. Alright, so now, on to the next topic.
Trump's plan to steal elections.
Alright, and of course...
Oh, what did I say? Trump's plan to end elections.
Yep, and he did some sort of stupid executive order recently, which made no sense, but of course Kyle's video is about to cover it, so let's see the stupidity here.
So Trump just signed an executive order, and I don't think it's getting
That's the
the
other
conversation
video that,
and the discussion
I
and the
watched that had
coverage
the 2-minute
that it
intro.
requires. You know, it's the Steve Bannon strategy. They throw 100 things at you every day. Each one of them is horrible, but they know we're flooding the zone. You won't be able to focus on all of them. You'll have to pick 2 or 3 of them and focus on those, and we get away with 97 other things, right? So this is a huge deal. Pay close attention as I walk you through this here. So Democracy Docket says the following. Trump order could disenfranchise millions of voters. Now, this is actually, believe it or not, sort of a soft way of describing what's really happening here. So we know that in the last election, based on
re-election rigging
Greg
now and
Palast's
forever.
incredibly detailed work, that Kamala was effectively screwed out of, I believe the number is 3.54 million more votes. So she actually won that election. She actually got more votes. Don't take my word for it. You go listen to Greg Powell. You go watch the interview Crystal and I did with Greg Powell.
I haven't seen the numbers, but like, even like running it even remotely close to population stuff, she claims at least 2 states back.
Unconvincing.
But
he has
course,
specific numbers from specific states
Trump
and how they were purged, etc.
Republicans have been doing.
So this was already a huge problem. Trump and Elon are about to take this problem and lock it in.
And then they're going to now use that time to
So the title in Democracy Docket, Trump order could disenfranchise millions of voters. That's one way of describing it. Another way of describing it is Trump and Elon plan to rig elections in 2026 and 2028. All right, so let me walk you through this here. We have a good thread that lays it out. New, what if I told you Trump's new executive order could rig elections and give Elon Musk power over who gets to vote? Gives Elon Musk power over that. By the way, that's literal. That's what's in this.
Which is why we need to deport him, people.
This isn't your typical MAGA voter suppression. It's a blueprint for authoritarian control. Here's what's in it.
And if not, shoot
The
him.
MAGA fever dream executive order requires government-issued documentary proof of citizenship to use the federal voter registration form, even though only U.S. citizens can vote in federal elections and already swear to it on the form under penalty of perjury. What that means is, it's an attempt to disenfranchise millions of poor folks, low-income folks, minority communities, because not everybody has a fucking passport. Not everybody has a fucking driver's license. And for you to say, you have to show that in order to vote. What if I don't have a driver's license? What if I don't have a passport? I'm an American citizen.
Won't be enough.
I've always been here, but I don't have
That
either
may
of
not
those
be
things.
enough.
They say, fuck off. You can't vote.
I can actually see Elon Musk being like, do you like Elon Musk? Or like, do you support Donald Trump? Or are you a white person? If you are white, you will be able to vote. If you are black,
lucky me!
Because remember, they're trying to do what modern day dictators are doing, like Putin, like Orban, like Erdogan, like Maduro, where the fucking elections are just formality. There's no actual opposition, and the person's already predetermined to win.
Try and do that in our state, elongated Musgrave, and we will hang you.
Many people's right to vote, particularly lower income people and minority communities. All right, here we go. It gives Elon Musk's Doge more power to comb through state voter files. What? Elon is going to have the ability under the law to comb through state voter files? Based on their track record, this is a recipe for unprecedented voter purges, major human and database errors, the disenfranchisement of thousands or even millions of eligible Americans. So in other words,
literally just purge every single Democrat from the voting roll.
All you have to do is question the citizenship status of somebody else, and it defaults to they're not allowed to vote. Here, they could have a provisional ballot, and that's it, and they could use the provisional ballot. But guess what? Like 50% of the provisional ballots don't get counted anyway. They get thrown right out. We know this all because of Greg Powell and his detailed work. If somebody challenges your right to vote, they default to assuming that person is correct. Not, hey, you have no evidence. Hey, how can you say that? If this person's here to vote, of course, we're going to allow them to vote, right? It defaults to, there's a Jim Crow era law that they revived in many red states.
Yep.
And that's what happened in the last election. What they're going to try to do is scale that to the whole country.
Test. Remember that TJ Kirk did that years ago.
And he failed.
Oh yeah, because it was intentionally designed to fail.
For ballots. In other words, if you put your middle initial but you weren't supposed to, or if you didn't put your middle initial but you were supposed to, if you have one line is messed up, or you don't put the date, or they find any little thing, they go, nope, not good enough, throw it out, throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. This is how this works.
Oh, you've got a deal
this is what
there.
They do.
That means your ballot is invalid. We're going to throw every single Democrat vote out.
Because I don't even use my initials or my full name a lot of times.
There's a legal veneer of specificity to just throw out the votes they don't want to count.
When my mum arrives at the ballot box, she's got to include all of her names because there's another Helen Noble in the area. Terrifying stuff, right?
But guys, this is the history of this country. This is how it works. This is how it works.
Yep, this is the existential
about the
racism
tests
of
they used to
America
give
Car.
to minorities, right? Poll taxes.
Essentially racist
They
terrorist
do all these
organization.
things to try to get the result they want while eliminating the votes they don't want, and they have a bullshit cover story about, oh, no, we're not just disenfranchising them because they vote Democrat and they're poor or they're a minority. We're doing it because look at the ballot. The ballot, it's not really legible. I can't read it. So I guess I got to throw it out. Oh, the middle initials there wasn't supposed to be there. Or the date is messed up, or
it's
like
got a
anything.
B on there.
That
means
that's what they do.
That means
and they do
that's
this in
an
red states
error.
already.
Therefore, we're throwing
Here's
it
another
out.
one that they
We're
do.
throwing all the
Take a name
all the
that sounds like a
Democratic
traditional
votes from
African
now
American
out.
name.
What are you
If
talking
one
about?
person with that name dies, purge the voter rolls of everybody that has that name. So one person with the name, I don't know, let's say Leonard Johnson dies, right? Let's just make up a name. They go, okay, this one died. Well, we have 413 Leonard Johnsons that are in this state. Throw them all out. Now no more Leonard Johnsons get to vote. This is what it's death by 1,000 cuts. And now you're going to let Elon Musk do this? Elon Musk, we already know he's a fucking liar. We already know he was out there saying we have 150-year-olds and 200-year-olds getting Social Security checks when we don't.
All made up.
Right? That was a lie. That was the way the system
And
works for
their
coding.
whole job. Their
It
job
would
is to make
it would
shit
default
up
to a certain
so
date.
that they can,
if there's not perfect information, it defaults to that date.
So they can fucking repeal the Voting Rights Act. What there is left of it, and then be like, all right, black people are now not allowed to vote.
And that's why your ass needs to be deported.
He lied and said it was 200-year-olds getting Social Security. Just the other day, he was like,
preferably fired into
because we
the
have
sun.
children getting Social Security.
And all your money
That's
stolen.
fraud. Cut off all that money. You idiot. That's for kids whose both of their
And give it
parents
to
died.
minorities who
just
deserve
cut it
it.
off.
No, universal health care for a decade.
I don't think you understand how bad this is. I don't think you understand how bad this is. Only eligible Americans vote. Even conservative think tanks like the Heritage Foundation, creators of Project 2025, found just 85 cases where people who were not citizens voted in 2 billion votes cast over the past 20 years. So they
85 out of
And
the
yes,
2 billion
and yet
votes.
they are still fully on board with making it illegal to vote if you're black.
Because you're all racist and evil and stupid.
They did a study on voter fraud,
because
and
they're
they
all
found
Nazis.
it basically doesn't exist.
There's a lot of them, and
85
there's pretty
votes
much
out of
everyone there is
2
at least a
billion
fascist, if not a straight up
were
Nazi,
like
and they all
non-citizens voting.
want a Nazi
85 out of
terrorist
2 billion.
organization.
This isn't a problem. So it's a solution in search of a problem. But what they really want to do is just purge the rolls of all the undesirables who they think will vote Democrat. Trump is trying to rig elections and stop the American people from holding them accountable. They're recycling a scheme courts already blocked and handing it to Elon Musk, whose roots are in apartheid South Africa, to decide who's American enough to vote.
Yep, whose roots are in a Nazi
The order also
terrorist
targets states that count mail ballots
masquerading
received
as a
after
state.
Election Day and threatens to cut off federal election funds unless they comply. So that's the other thing. If you don't comply with this executive order, the federal government are just going to cut off all the federal money that your state gets, which is not survivable. This could disenfranchise U.S. military personnel and overseas voters. DOJ has warned it may be illegal. So this one is, they say like, oh, all the ballots that get to the state after Election Day, they're all fraudulent. Meanwhile, they're not. It's U.S. military personnel overseas. It's people who, maybe you voted, you sent it in 2 days before the election, but it gets there a day after the election, right? So it gets there in 3 days. Well, that's still a legitimate vote. They cast the vote before the election, right? But what they'll try to do is say, no, it has to be here on this day or that's it. Well, again, at that point, you're just trying to rig the election and throw out the ones you don't like. Because as we all know, mail-in ballots in particular, Democrats are more likely to do those. Let's be clear about the chaos plan here. One, Elon Musk's Doge floods us with so-called fraud. That's what they'll say is the problem, even though it's not. Then Trump points to the chaos to claim fraud and stop eligible Americans from voting. The goal, more power for Trump, less power for us. Just like the massive voter suppression law moving through Congress, this is all about locking the doors to democracy and handing the keys to oligarchs and super-rich campaign donors. We've seen this before. Judges have ruled that proof of citizenship for federal voter registration is illegal. The Supreme Court declined to hear appeals, effectively affirming that these mandates on the federal form are illegal and unenforceable. We've also seen this playbook before. Intimidation, disinformation, and distraction. It's a power play to score voters and get headlines, probably to distract from the war plans group chat scandal. We faced down power-hungry politicians before, and every time we come back tougher, louder, and more relentless. Read more and join Fair Fight Action in fighting to protect American democracy. So yeah, Fair Fight Action, they're one of the people fighting back against this. Democracy Docket, I believe, Mark Elias, I think he might have a case on this as well. But make no mistake about it. The idea is to say, and there's going to be a bunch of legal cases over this because this voter board commission that Trump is trying to force to do these things, there's no legal authority for him to force them to do anything. They're not under the direct control of the president, right? But he's trying to make them do it. And again, so there will be court cases over this. But what this is an attempt to do, take the most restrictive states that are the worst when it comes to voting rights, and they have all these ways to purge people they don't want, right? The mail-in ballots, they do that with the mail-in ballots. Texas, they threw out like millions of mail-in ballots based on fucking nothing because the attorney general wanted them gone. This is an attempt to take a Texas-style system, an anti-voting rights style system from the states, and scale it to the whole country.
Make it impossible for black people to vote.
Sorry, pal, you're not doing it in my state, so fuck off.
Force every state to do the same thing.
Oh, they'll try. They'll try.
And we will shoot them if we do. How about that one?
We've never seen anything like this.
They'll be
And then they'll send try to send a million bombs into Maryland.
5 alarm fire. I know I say it every day, but that's
We're
what
hardy
it is.
people. We will crush them every time.
And just like the voter disenfranchisement,
that's why they're always
fucked
scared.
up the last election. What if I told you they're trying to codify it the country over, not just in certain states, and
nationwide,
lock it in to try to guarantee Republican rule for a generation?
Here's the thing. That requires congressional votes, people, and they don't have the votes to do that. So their scam already fails. So how about that?
Yep.
Are we just gonna sit back and take it, or are we gonna rise up? Hey, y'all, do me a favor.
And that's why you never vote for Republicans, because they are evil.
Exactly, because
End
they're
of
fascist.
discussion. No, no,
They're
and no.
just fascist.
Period. Yeah. So what do you guys think about that?
Project 2025 is one of Project 2025's plans is to make voting just a Trump anointing ceremony.
So what do you guys say about Trump trying to steal elections as always? Evil cunt.
It's not a surprise. We knew that's what he was going to do because he never accepted that he lost the first time, and then he's now going to try and ensure that he can never be voted out.
Good
thing. He's going to throw out
good.
all the votes from black people and Democrats.
I guess the good thing is that he's an old man. He'll just drop that like buying suit. That's like the only saving grace. Fucking idiot. All right, so now on to the next topic,
which is Brain Dead Joe Rogan has a Nazi on the show, on the Nazi show.
Of course, we expect Joe Rogan, of course, self-admitted moron. Again,
yep, self-admitted retard.
Yep, and this is every time we cover him, he does something even more stupider and stupider than last time. Oh my god! So let's watch this stupidity.
So as you all know, Joe Rogan's show has effectively become the suck off the robber barons experience. He seemingly
and Kyle did a video recently him sucking off the elongated Musgrave again because he's a fucking moron.
Can't go a month without having on some billionaire oligarch robber baron who's destroying our country, whether it be Elon Musk 1,000 times or Mark Andreessen or Peter Thiel in his oily face after sucking the blood of a baby like a vampire, or Mark Zuckerberg. If he's not talking to
I swear, if you wanted a real life Strad von Zarovich,
politician like J.D. Vance or Donald Trump, and giving them a hot stone massage throughout the entire interview, as we've seen. When he's not talking to them, he's talking to some right-wing MMA fighter or some right-wing comedian.
Elongated Musgrave senpai. No, it's me in my maid outfit.
It's humiliating. But somehow, ladies and gentlemen, somehow, it has gotten worse. It has gotten worse than the suck off the robber barons experience. Now, we are looking at Joe Rogan, the Nazi apologist experience. Now you might
just
say,
drop the word apologist, Kyle. It's just the Nazi
experience. So there's this guy by the name of Daryl Cooper. Now I must admit, Daryl Cooper had many people fooled, including me, for a while. He has this podcast called Martyr Made, and he did this retelling of the history of Palestine and Israel. And, you know, if you don't know anything about the guy and you listen to it, you're like, I don't know, this seems really like high level, really well thought out, really interesting. Crystal and I listened to the whole thing, and we thought it was relatively good. But the more I followed this guy's work, the more there were red flags. The more it was like, that doesn't sound, that's a little borderline. And then eventually, as you're about to see, and I'll demonstrate for you, the mask totally came off. But
yeah, just like with dumb leftists. A lot of people that criticize Israel for their war crimes against Palestinians, a lot of them are also just straight up anti-Semitic. So they're not against Israel's war crimes because what they're doing is evil, like we go after them for. They're after them because Jews did it. That's it. All they think about is Jews. That's the end of discussion.
It's a cautionary tale.
And we'll get to how
that I'm
horseshoe
giving
theory
you right
they've
now,
all gone
that beware.
in a few
because
topics.
There are a lot of people out there saying the right thing about Palestine, and it comes from a great place. Then there are a lot of people out there saying the right thing about Palestine, and it genuinely stems from the fact that they're Nazis. I mean, I know that sounds a little
it's all over Twitter too.
You know, you might hear Nick Fuentes say something if you take it out of context, like, "Oh, he's good on the issue of Gaza," but it's like, where does that stem from? It doesn't stem from a belief in human rights and international law and justice. It stems from fuck the Jews.
Honestly, a lot of times Hassan.
Jews. Right? Like that's what it is. I hate to put it so crassly, but it's the truth,
Even
right?
Lyle occasionally has done that.
Remember he got, speaking of Hassan, remember he got his ass banned on Twitch recently?
Yep, I saw that.
Advocate
I bet
violence.
you Destiny's dancing in the street over it.
Yep, that's what you get for being an idiot that advocates violence.
So anyway, this guy Daryl Cooper, he was in the news in September 2024 because people noticed this moment in his podcast with Tucker Carlson. And, well, this sort of speaks for itself, and you'll begin to understand the problem with Daryl Cooper. And then, as I'll get to, he was just on Rogan's show. Buckle up for that. But here's what he said that caused controversy in September.
But how would you assess Winston Churchill? I got in trouble with my podcast partner, Jocko Willink, one time because he's a New England Dutchman whose his family, it's near and dear to they're Dutch, but very near and dear to their heart that Winston Churchill is a hero, right? Well, everyone thinks that. He really thinks that. And I told him that I think, and maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic, maybe, but I told him, maybe trying to provoke him a little bit, that I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War.
The dude seriously says Churchill is the ultimate evil, basically, of World War II. Churchill sucks. He ain't Hitler, pal. Like, don't start this bullshit.
Yeah.
I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War.
How about no?
How about no? He's an awful person. He comes from Britain,
Hey, dog.
and Britain was all British people were awful at the time. That was like Britain.
Racist imperialist
The world
country.
would be a better place if Britain sunk into the sea tomorrow.
Yep, he sucks. He ain't Hitler, pal. Stop making Stop making excuses.
Remember, he took Churchill and Germany and all them's colonialism and turned it inward.
Worse.
And turned it on everyone else, and thinking that only
Churchill
the Aryan
is the
race
villain of the Second World War.
Would be allowed to exist.
Other guys who were worse. Just off the top of my Hitler, Mussolini, the Emperor of Japan,
Stalin, since no one talks about him too.
The chief villain. All right, he's not done.
He didn't kill the most people. He didn't commit the most atrocities. But I believe, and I think when you really get into it and tell the story right and don't leave anything out, you see that he was primarily responsible for that war becoming what it did.
Oh my God, Churchill's responsible for World War II now. You literally sound like Michael Tracy a few years ago, where he blamed America for World War II for embargo in Japan. Like, come on, just stop. This is so silly. No, he's not responsible for World War II. He wasn't even in power when World War II started, you morons. Oh my God.
Churchill was primarily responsible
They
for that
don't
war.
care. It doesn't serve their Nazi narrative.
There's only two people responsible for World War II: Hitler and Stalin. That's it.
Exterminationist, building concentration camps, shoving
Hitler
people
and
in gas
Stalin
chambers
are the
and trying
only
to
two.
conquer the world. Wasn't that guy? It was Churchill.
If anyone who's been glossed over decades, it's Stalin and all that. He's the one who's been glossed over for being part of the Allies when he was the original cause also of World War II, along with Hitler with the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Anarchy, please do your video on already. Been waiting over a year.
An invasion of Poland. Or just, at every step of the way, people are very often, I find, surprised to learn. There's a two-step process.
Well, why don't you just make the case for that? Okay, so you've made your statement.
Even Tucker notices, holy shit, you sound like a crazy
How are
person.
you somehow
sound like a
stupid
flat-out Nazi.
Tucker Carlson?
That's why he's like, how is that possible? He sort of fleshed that out a little bit.
Tucker Carlson's an actual Nazi, and this guy's
that comes into their head. He's saying is that you're saying Churchill was the chief villain.
The guy he's talking to is Hitler 2.0.
Stalin, the protagonists, right? They're the good guys. If you think
he's just Hitler 2.0.
they put themselves into a position, and Adolf Hitler's chiefly responsible for this, but his old regime is responsible for it, that when they went into the East in 1941, they launched a war where they were completely unprepared to deal with the millions and millions of prisoners of war, of local political prisoners and so forth, that they were going to have to handle. They went in with no plan.
They went in with no plan for the millions and millions of political prisoners. Hey, Daryl, they had a plan.
And that was for all the
Oh,
murder.
they had a plan.
We'll put them in gas
It wasn't like
chambers.
oh, gosh golly. Oh, what do we do? Oh, they had a plan. It was called Auschwitz. Oh, my God. What am I going to do with this guy?
Yep.
And they just threw these people into camps.
People like these also somehow blame America for the Holocaust to happen. Did you remember that?
They blame it. Remember, the far right and the dumb fucking leftists, in quotation marks, because once you get above a certain point in authoritarianism, left or right don't matter. They just blame America for everything. I got out of the bed on the wrong side of the... I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. The CIA moved me there. They believe the CIA is some omnipotent force. Literally everything in the world is because of them.
We declared war on America after getting attacked on Pearl Harbor. It's their fault World War II started. We're going to have to do the Holocaust and kill everyone now. That's how silly they sound.
Millions of people.
But that's what they believe.
The camps, and millions of
that's
people
what these Nazis
ended
believe.
up dead. Oh, did they?
And remember, you get people like this, but they could start out as simple as being flat earthers. Because remember, Eric DeBay is a literal neo-Nazi.
And all these idiots should be mocked and laughed at.
Did they die of old age when they were in there? What happened? Was there a pandemic that swept
And
through?
they should not have a platform
what
either
was
to
it
skew their
again?
horse crap.
Oh, that's right. They fucking mass murdered them on purpose. Okay, so now, I don't even need to say anymore. Now you see the problem with Daryl Cooper, right? This is what we call Nazi apologetics. That's what this is, right? Okay.
What the word apologetics? He's just a
Rogan
Nazi.
didn't see this clip, or did, and still invited homie on the show, right?
Because Rogan's a
And Daryl Cooper
moron.
gave us some gems.
Because
on the Joe
Rogan,
Nazi
because
apologist
Rogan,
experience. Here we go.
because Rogan
So
will
this-
talk to anyone these days.
one of the things
No, he only talked to conservatives, remember?
He only talk to pieces of shit.
Oh yeah, this is like the ultimate proof that this guy is a Nazi. Oh god, just listen to this.
Dad, ready?
You know, it's not like Hitler was going and giving big speeches at City Square in Berlin, going on and on and on about how we're going to kill the Jews.
He did.
That is literally
yes, he did.
exactly
Yes,
what
he
Hitler was
did.
doing. In fact,
January
somebody literally
1939.
spliced it out and put it right here.
Yep.
There's a video right here.
We will annihilate the
Now,
Jewish race
obviously
of
it's in German, so I
annihilate the
won't
Jewish
play it.
race in Europe.
But Hitler addressing the entire Reichstag in 1939, declaring that he will annihilate the Jewish race. I'm sure Rogan really held him accountable when he said that.
There's
right?
a whole transcript of his speech on Wikipedia if you all want to read it. Not that difficult.
More from Daryl Cooper on the Joe Rogan Nazi apologist experience.
People get sucked into it because, not because of like some latent evil in their heart, but because their virtues get hijacked. You know, Hitler is a good example. That is somebody who can say whatever you want about him. He loved the German people and he cared about the German people.
He loved the
Hitler loved Germans. This is why he had millions of them killed.
He literally got millions of them slaughtered.
And he also killed millions of Germans too. Jews, mentally disabled people, gays. Come on, dude. Like, just stop.
People.
That's not even including the 5 million
Trans
German troops that got
people as well.
killed because of World War II that he caused.
Yep, trans people as
Hitler's
well,
overwhelming
which
love for the
JQ
German
Rowling
people.
denies.
Which is why he built concentration camps and shoved people in gas chambers by the millions.
Oh yeah,
at
I've also
Rogan's face.
figured something out. I reckon give about 2 years, and the US is going to send like $150 billion to El Salvador to build gas chambers in that really rough prison that they're deporting people to.
Which is why in the 2026 midterms, Democrats must get 67 seats in Senate. That way we can impeach Trump and get rid of that problem once and for all.
Yep.
Look at Rogan's face.
God, I don't know. Part of me
that's
thinks
one
at this
too many
point just
cold
go
plunges.
further, impeach the entire
One
Republican
too many
Party.
That's what we need to do.
For brain pills. Homie, look at you. Oh my god. Can you believe this?
Hitler is a good example. That is somebody who can say whatever you want about him. He loved the German people and he cared about the German people.
No, he
but that
didn't.
But I love the insinuation that he loves the German people.
Nordic,
now,
I
obviously,
think
the Jews
Nordic
don't count
people
as
were
German
more,
people, right? Because then
We're
if
more
you include
thin
them in the
by
picture,
Hitler
well,
than
obviously he doesn't give a fuck
Germans.
about the German people.
It could be
He
your
killed the
Norways,
Jews.
and your Swedens, your
I like how
Finlands, and your Icelands.
he's like, well, he cared about certain German people. You got to like carve out which ones he's talking about. This is psycho shit, man. This is now we're looking at mainstream discourse and dialogue in the United States in the year 2025. By the way, at the same time, just in case anybody's confused about this, Trump illegally sending immigrants to Guantanamo Bay. No due process, no habeas corpus, deporting pro-Palestine protesters for liking pro-Palestine tweets. Right? This is what they're doing. They're sending green card holders, permanent legal residents. They're claiming, oh, you're Tren de Aragua, you're a Venezuelan gang, based on no evidence, no due process, not proving anything, shipping them to a supermax prison, which is basically a slave labor camp in El Salvador illegally.
And that's where
So
I reckon,
bro,
give
they're
about
saying
2
these
years,
things, but still,
that's where the gas
history.
chambers
We
are
would never
going to
repeat
be
stuff
built.
like that. The fucking guy that Rogan's supporting is warmongering with Greenland and Denmark and Mexico and Panama and Canada and Somalia and Venezuela
Yeah, he's
and
just
Yemen
trolling,
and
guys.
Iran.
Don't take Trump
And did I
so
say
seriously,
Mexico?
stupid
Oh my God.
libtards.
I mean, it's like I was reading an article. a
You're
while
the
back about
stupid people
the
because you think
neurochemical
that Trump has
And
any
it's the
capacity to
chemical
troll.
that basically makes sure that a mammal mother doesn't eat her baby when she gets hungry. It gets that, and obviously it takes the form of like increasing trust and empathy and so forth. But they've also done research and found that it also that it increases trust and empathy and all those things for your in-group. But because you're more protective of them, like feeling that way, it actually increases distrust toward anybody considered like in the out-group.
Yeah, it's almost like that's the problem, right? It's almost like that's the problem. Now, in case any of this, I think probably 90% of you are convinced because you have functioning brains. But in case anybody is like, I don't know, man, still sort of borderline, can you really call it the Joe Rogan Nazi apologist experience? Let me show you.
This is what I meant to say
It's
earlier.
famous scandal.
Kyle, it's just the Nazi
This
and
man right here.
oligarch experience.
And I need to stress this point. This happened before he was invited on the Joe Rogan experience. Ready for this? I believe it was what? The Olympic ceremony happening, was it in France? And it was just a typical French opening ceremony. A lot of dancing, a lot of party stuff going on, right? Here's what Daryl Cooper said. This may be putting it too crudely for some, but the picture on the left was infinitely preferable in virtually every way than the one on the right. Ladies and gentlemen, the picture on the left is Adolf Hitler and the Nazis after conquering France, and the picture on the right is a bunch of drag queens dancing at an opening ceremony for the Olympics.
So he thinks a picture of the Nazis taking over France is better than, God forbid, drag queens at the Olympics last year. Like, dude.
Like I said, Joe Rogan, the Nazi experience.
Again, guys, this is just not debatable. Drag queens are better than Nazis. Come on. Just stop. Stop being stupid.
And the fact you people believe that it's the other way around just shows you fucking Nazis.
And transphobes, too.
Nazi rule having
and stupid.
drag queens in public having fun and dancing. Let me repeat that. He prefers Nazi rule to drag queens dancing and having fun in the open.
Oh, God forbid people have fun and freedom.
It's called Nazi. You're just a Nazi. Now, he
God
can try
forbid
to
I
cloak
work on
it
my
and
Pokemon
be
Violet
weaselly
team as we're
about it from
filming
time
this.
to time, but very clearly, over
God
a longer
forbid
time
I'm
frame,
doing
the mask
wild
slips.
Pokemon.
And
I'm trying to figure out what Pokemon are we fighting inside the team. Actually, what I should be doing is
very clear.
Is
Oh,
working through that.
you're just a fucking Nazi. So that's what you are, Daryl Cooper. You're just a Nazi. And Joe Rogan, congratulations on top of having on seemingly every robber baron in the country to lie about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the anti-scam police, to lie about politics, and corrupt Republican politicians, and right-wing MMA fighters, and washed-up right-wing comedians. On top of having on those people, now you've brought in the tent. The Joe Rogan Experience tent is being broadened. Now he also welcomes in the Nazis. So isn't that lovely? Now, by the way, I want to
because he's a Nazi now.
Cherry on top. I believe this may have literally been from the same podcast as the Daryl Cooper one. Just wait until here's what Joe's saying in casual conversation with a fucking Nazi. Here's what Joe's saying.
I do think there's socialism aspects of our country that we can't ignore, powerful and important. One of them that I bring up all the time is the fire department. Fire department is a totally socialist idea. Like, you don't have to pay them money. Like, if you live in a house that's worth $1 million, or if you live in a house that's worth $200,000, they put out fires. If you can afford it or if you can't afford it, they put out fires. We all agree you got to put out fires. Another thing is, and this is very controversial, but socialized medicine. The idea that you should go broke because you broke your leg is fucking crazy. If we're a community of people...
Now he believes that you should be murdered if you go broke.
Yeah, Rogan, you say all these nice things, but you vote for Trump, so that instantly discredits you.
The best thing we could do...
Yeah, discredits you in every way, shape, and form.
Active and productive and contribute to society. That makes everybody better and greater, and we should be willing to contribute to that. But I want my orthopedic surgeon driving a fucking Mercedes. I want that guy to be a bad motherfucker who gets compensated for it, because that's the type of guy who becomes an artist. That's the type of guy who works on the Lakers' knees. That's the type of guy you want. Like, oh, that's Mike. He does the Cowboys whenever they have shoulder injuries. That's the guy. Yeah. You want that guy. You want the guy with the nice watch. You want the guy who lives in a big house, because that guy's fucking dialed in and focused. You don't want a guy who doesn't feel like he's being compensated enough. You don't want a guy who feels like
they're
he's
most likely
expendable.
self-centered.
You want a guy who feels like he's a fucking rock star. That's what you want if you want your mom getting brain surgery, right? You want a rock star surgeon.
No, I want someone who's competent at their job.
I believe in
That's what
competition.
matters.
I believe
Nothing
in merit.
else.
And I think it's very, very important for our society as a whole. But I also think there should be a much larger safety net for individuals so they don't go broke if they have a fucking knee surgery. Or if you break your back, you shouldn't have to fucking
no
go
longer
bankrupt.
believes it. He believes that if you are poor, you now get put, you should be put in a gas chamber.
I love this. I love this. In between sucking off robber barons and corrupt Republican politicians and Nazis and every right-wing asshole under the sun, and endorsing Donald Trump and going to his inauguration to party with them, in the midst of all that, who, me, bro? Me? I'm sort of left-wing and stuff, bro.
No,
I
you're
believe
not.
in this thing, and
No,
I believe
you're
in
not.
that
You're
thing, which
off
is
the
why I
top
voted
right
for
of
the
the
guy who does
political
the
spectrum.
literal 180
Fucking
degree
Nazi.
opposite on every fucking thing I just
You
said.
don't get the excuse, I'm just an idiot and all that. Nope.
No, he doesn't. Never.
No, nobody should take you seriously.
Yeah.
This is complete hack fraud bullshit. Oh, bro, healthcare's like really important. People should have a right to healthcare. Did you say a fucking word when a couple weeks ago the Republicans passed through the House of Representatives a bill that cut Medicaid by $880 billion, which is effectively destroying all of Medicaid, which is healthcare for low-income people and healthcare for disabled people? Did you say a fucking word?
Basically repealed Medicare without actually repealing Medicare.
Did you come on air and say, you know what, the Democrats are right because they're on the other side of this, and I need to stand with them because I care so much about healthcare that I got to stand with the party that's going to try to defend Medicaid? Did you defend Al Green when Al Green stood up and said you don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid when Trump gave his speech to Congress? You didn't say a fucking word about fucking any of that. And by the way, spare me. Oh, universal healthcare is so important and so good. Really? Did you know that under Trump's first term, 2.3 million people lost their health insurance and you said fucking dick about it and endorsed him? I can't deal with it anymore, bro. I can't deal with it anymore. I don't give a fuck what you say you think your values are in casual conversation, but then you turn around and suck off the robber barons and endorse the worst politicians in the country and sit back as they run scam after scam after scam on the American people. Did he say a goddamn word about Trump launching a fucking crypto scam coin 2 days before his inauguration and shaking down his own supporters to the tune of billions of dollars? Did he say a fucking word about that?
Nope.
It's enough. It's enough. I'm done with this show. Me, bro? I'm like in the middle. I have some right-wing ideas. I have some left-wing ideas, which is why I suck off billionaires every day and I fucking endorse Trump and hold hands with him and frolic in the field with him and tell him how much I love him under the moonlight as I caress his skin.
And how much I want him, and how gay he is for him.
He's unsalvageable at this point. You know, at least, you know what? Give us this. At least if you're going to endorse the worst fucking people in this country that do the worst possible fucking things, at least don't be a weasel about it, a little slimy weasel about it, and pretend like as you shoot the shit and giggle with a Nazi that actually, bro, I'm a socialist. I'm like a lefty, bro. No big deal. Because the fact of the matter is this. He fucking knows better. He knows better. He knows Trump's number one accomplishment in his first term was massively cutting taxes for the wealthy and corporations. He knows that. Or at least he should.
He doesn't care because he's one of those, and he would love to.
I'm going to save jobs. I'm not going to outsource your jobs, folks. Vote for me.
Minorities
we lost
in the
200,000
street.
manufacturing jobs under Trump in his first term, and now in his second term, he just killed 115,000 new manufacturing jobs that were going to come here because of a bill that was signed by Biden, the CHIPS Act. He presided over a 2.9 million job loss. He appointed more billionaires and Wall Street CEOs than anybody. I mean, I can go on, right? You talk about labor unions. Well, guess who destroyed the NLRB? Guess who destroyed
Yep.
the NLRB?
Guess who-
Which is the
basically
government agency
outlawed
which fucking
unions.
protects unions.
Trump. Man
It's Trump
you
who
love.
just appointed like an
you
Amazon
want- the
asshole
man
to be the
you're
head of the
gay
NLRB, which
for.
basically means they're always going to side with management, they're always going to side with the corporations, they're always going to side with the owners and the billionaires, and they're going to fuck unions over time and time and time again. Are you going to talk about that on your show, Joe? No, you're not. You're going to fucking fake virtue signal like, I'm for the good things, bro, no big deal, I'm like in the middle, maybe I'm even a lefty, bro, but anyway, let's bring on JD Vance so I can fucking jack him off again, and bring on Peter Thiel again, and bring on Trump again to lie about everything to my face.
And
enough
time
already.
travel
It's enough
back
already.
to the
Retire.
1930s so I
Retire.
can
You're
talk
so
to Joseph
washed.
Stalin
You're so
and
washed.
Adolf
It's
Hitler
hard to
and
watch.
worship
Hey, y'all, do
them.
me a favor and like and subscribe.
Yeah, so we gotta see about Joe Rogan, of course, being a moron as always.
Yep. That's more. I tell you about the Nazi experience.
And that's why you don't have these people on your shows, because they're fucking morons. And all that. So yeah, now we're done with that. On to the next topic.
Which is base Shuckle Walz makes MAGA retards rage.
Walls, base Shuckle Walz. Didn't we tell you all you
Yes.
don't? Didn't we tell you all
Inflicting
you?
500 million damage to Republicans.
Didn't we tell you all you don't fuckle with the Shuckle? Oh, that's right. Conservatives hate Pokemon, so they don't follow the warnings like we tell them to. So of course, base Shuckle Walz destroyed, humiliated Republicans, Trump, Elon Gay Musgrave, everyone all over again, and it was a beautiful sight. And they are crying like babies over it because they love misery. So let's go watch him destroy him once again.
Tim Walz, Crystal, I think he's been doing a pretty good job lately. He came out of hiding. It's become very apparent to me that the Kamala team really did kind of try to hide him.
Yes.
Which makes no sense because you picked him because he was great in cable news hits. He was really good. He had moments that went viral.
Do you all remember when he would call them weirdos and couch rapists and all that?
Yes, I remember that.
And Republicans...
And that was hurting them. That was hurting them when
that-
it was happening.
Yep, Republicans had nothing. They couldn't respond to it because they know deep down they are weirdos and rapists.
They tried by saying, you're the weird, by going, no, you.
They had nothing. They had literally nothing to counter it, and it was beautiful.
People liked him. You got along well with him. And then you bring him on and basically say, like, I'm going to handcuff you, and the thing that you did that we know you're really good at, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Right.
So
the only experience people are going to get of you is during a debate when you have already told us you're bad at debating.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly what
that's it.
happened. But,
Yeah.
like, he's reemerged now as, honestly, one of the leaders. Like, got Bernie doing the anti-oligarchy tour. AOC is joining him with that. You got some fighters
Please
like
run
Desmond
all three of
Crockett.
you.
But
Yeah.
Tim Walz has really come out of nowhere. And he sort of was like,
even
I'm
if
gonna
it
run
has
in
to,
2028.
even if it has to be
These guys
Bernie's
on the other side are
ghost,
Nazis and fascists.
he
People are
should
going to expect
run.
us to do universal health care
I
this time
actually-
around. They're not going to expect tweets
I
on the
actually had an
edges.
idea. If I was
He
in
spoke to
Maryland,
Greasy Gavin.
I would tell, and it was 2028. Bernie had died at some point. I'll be like, I'd just write in the ghost of Bernie Sanders.
It really exposed him like without even trying. It was kind of interesting. He's like, Gavin was like, sort of, you got to hand it to Steve Bannon, and Tim Walz is like, these are bad people. What are you talking about?
And that's the thing
fuck
about
both
him
of them.
is like, you know,
Fuck Newsom.
I probably, if Gavin Newsom
Fuck
had said
Gavin-
that,
fuck
I would have
Gavin
launched
Newsom,
some
the
long
Nazi
diatribe about, well, really,
enabler.
Steve Bannon says this and he does that, and like, you know, he'll go along with, he'll claim that he's against the tax cuts for the rich, but then he just goes along. Like, I'd probably do a whole soliloquy. And Walz is able to get his point across just in that one moment, just being like, these are bad guys. And it's like, oh yeah, you just kind of totally undermined his whole thing of doing a whole song and dance with these dudes. And that was an interesting exchange. There was a little bit more to it than that, but it illustrated there are two very distinct camps in the Democratic Party right now. One that wants to capitulate and one that wants to
And
fight.
every one of them that
and right
capitulates
there
must
in
be
that
kicked
moment,
out.
in a very
Yep.
obviously like diplomatic and civil
The one
way,
who
it was
capitulates
clear-
also needs to be impeached.
No conceding to fascists. Do we make it clear? None.
No
you crush
fascists.
them.
Gavin
You
Newsom
would,
is gonna
you will
let's
be
capitulate
impeached,
and, you know,
primaried,
have
and
a
we
grand
will
old
rig
time
the
with
election
Charlie Kirk and
against you
Michael
if you
Savage
do.
and Steve Bannon. And Tim Walz is in the no. You have to stand up. You have to fight to these people with these people, and you
Be
cannot
like
just
Bernie!
capitulate to them.
So now he's doing a tour where
Be like
he's sort of doing
Face
what Bernie's
Awesome
doing.
Bernie.
He's going around the country. He's not doing speeches in the purple districts. He's going to red districts and purple districts and doing town halls where the Republican Congress people are refusing to show up because Mike Johnson told them like, "Hey, dog, don't go.
Yeah.
You about to get reamed, son."
Yeah.
And so so he was
Because
like,
they're
"I'll go."
cowards and babies.
So we're getting some
Yep,
moments
they're
coming out of these town
cowards.
halls.
They hate
and
it.
he posted this. I'm curious your thoughts, how intentional this was, like, versus he posted it not expecting the reaction that he got, right? But this is from one of the town halls. He has this moment where he's basically mocking Elon Musk and talking about how he loves it when the Tesla stock goes down.
Yeah.
Right? And then we'll get to the reaction from the right in a minute, but first watch the video.
Some of you know this on the iPhone. They've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So.
Yeah, but Tesla keeps dying and dying and dying ever since elongated Musgrave became shadow president, and it's a beautiful sight. Fuck him. Lose all your money.
And if you own one,
get deported back to South Africa and then get lynched.
You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
So first of all, it looks like many people pointed this out. It looks like he's doing his Netflix comedy special.
Yeah.
All right.
He's like working the crowd.
He's working the crowd. He's standing up. It looks like a comedy.
Anyone
stand-up
smashes
comedy.
and destroys conservatives is always funny.
Yeah, and of course. Yeah. I'll let you guess what the right-wing reaction was
With
to this.
maturity and grace.
Like
So
Karens,
they all come
Karens.
out just 100 miles an hour, flipping out, basically being like, he's rooting for the downfall of American companies.
Good.
And then, of course, like, the House Judiciary account said that.
So we can rebuild them to be truly great again.
People immediately dug up, like, here's your tweet where you went after Bud Light
and Target
this company and that company. Like, oh,
remember how much Karen you all because God forbid Bud Light had that trans influencer on? Oh God, you all raged and moaned and boycott Bud Light and all that. I don't want to hear a single peep out of you when we boycott Tesla. Deal with it.
Oh, well, Disney. Remember, Ron DeSantis did a whole jihad against Disney and his staying as like a hero for that.
That spectacularly, and it was glorious.
Kanye, like a few years
Imagine
ago,
raging about Disney, not their movies.
And so they're all fucking clutching their pearls. They're all
nothing being woke and supposedly Jewish.
Said nothing when Elon Musk slashed pediatric cancer research. They said nothing. Right. But now Tim Walz makes a joke at Tesla's expense. Oh, this is unconscionable for a former VP candidate.
Oh, I will say though, from what I've read, Walt Disney had a very complicated relationship in that regard.
Terrorism. I mean, that's really the point they're at. Like,
that
Trump
makes it
literally
weird that
said
Republicans don't like him then.
Teslas or Tesla dealerships is going to be treated as domestic terrorism now. Like, that's where we're at. And of course, it's like hilariously ridiculous too, this supposedly working class party that's now organizing themselves around propping up the stock and buying the vehicles of the richest man on the planet. Like Sean Hannity doing a sales pitch on his show. Donald Trump, of course, doing the whole sales pitch on the White House lawn.
Instead.
And you had Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary.
I think even they realize how bad that fucking thing is made.
Hey, you know one place? Hey, you know where one place a Cyber truck would be good at? At a monster truck if that's being crushed.
People, they should buy.
No, I think the problem there is that might even be so might actually be a bit dangerous to do that.
Oh,
you're how fragile when they get crushed, the pieces go everywhere.
K-Feld promoting the safety hazard bullshit.
By the way, completely illegal.
No. I'm talking. No, this is like a genuine risk because of how it's not a general thing. It's just in this particular case that those things are so badly made that they actually present a. No, I'm not worried about the crowd. I'm worried about the driver in the car because those Tesla cars are so badly made that it could just explode as soon as it's crushed under a monster truck wheel.
The crappiness of the Cybertruck against the base safetyness of a monster truck. Let's go.
It is like he clearly has bothered.
Maybe try that on a private thing and
now,
see if it'll.
Tesla
and find someone who has a death wish and if it's okay.
The stock is still probably wildly overvalued just based on the number of cars that they sell and based on the fact that he, being so closely associated with Tesla, like he is destroying this company. In Europe, they have other options too. By the way, they can buy a BYD car from China, which is better than the technology that we have here.
Hey, if he can,
they have no interest. They hate Elon, and they have no interest in buying his vehicles anymore. There was a survey that came out. 94% of Germans were like, "There is no way in hell I would buy a Tesla."
Which makes him boiling mad.
Yeah, he's completely screwed himself over.
And that makes us
There's been
happy.
a lot of speculation about he used Tesla stock as collateral in order to finance his purchase of Twitter. And at some point, if the stock drops far enough, then there would be a margin call and he'd have to like come up with cash to make up the difference, basically. I don't think anyone, I've seen some speculation about where that would be. I don't think anyone knows for sure. But, you know, there's a real financial repercussion here. And then
like
in
Trump
addition,
is.
like this is his ego is very much wrapped up in this as well. So I think this is the first thing that's like really actually seems like it's gotten to him.
Definitely. So Elon was actually like nearly crying on Sean Hannity's show the other night.
That's right.
Sean Hannity was
It
like,
was a beautiful
Elon,
sight.
thank you for joining me.
Bold seeds,
Let me
dilate
tell you,
L
these
plus
Tesla cars
ratio.
sure are swell. He said they could go 0 to 60 in 0.2 seconds, and even Elon was like, no, it's 2 seconds. It's not 0.2 seconds. It's 2 seconds.
0.2. I don't even want that.
These are fine American cars, sir.
That's
Aren't they wonderful?
actually.
And Elon's
I'm
like,
pretty sure.
yes,
like
I don't
you'd
understand.
need the freaking SR-71 Blackbird to stand a chance of doing that.
And I'm pretty sure in 0 to 16.02 seconds, you'd probably face some sort of kinetic energy that would probably hurt or kill you. Like that instant movement that quickly.
Why people are coming after it? And it's like, I hate this game that we're playing where that's pure acting.
I'm just
why
gonna
would
do
anybody?
this here.
I don't know. Maybe, like I said, you cut pediatric cancer research. By the way, strike one, you're out. You don't need a 2 and 3. That's it. Strike one, you're out. Cutting pediatric cancer research is enough to piss people off in this country to the point where they do some shit about it. But beyond that, how many more things has he done? He's fired between 100,000 and 250,000 government workers illegally, incling veterans, including disabled veterans. For the first time ever, we now have Social Security payments that are not.
What?
Okay, 0 to 60 miles an hour in 0.2 seconds. That's nearly 14 Gs.
I told you. So was I wrong? I mean, was I right or what? We would not survive going 0 to 16.02 seconds.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Yeah. So G-forces of if it's sustained long enough for more than about a minute or two, 4 to 6 Gs can be lethal due to oxygen deprivation. And
don't you love your math lessons?
Even fighter pilots can't handle more than about 10 G.
Don't you love your math lessons around this show, people?
Oh yeah.
Going out?
Yeah, so yeah,
0.0
to 60 in 0.2
seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
Will
They're
probably
Medicare,
kill you.
They're targeting Medicaid. They destroyed
Probably
the anti-scam
kill
police,
or
the CFPB.
at minimum will knock you out, and then you'll die of oxygen deprivation.
Isn't it amazing that a retard like me knew that off the top of my head?
Flight safety
I just went for the mathematical confirmation.
You don't get to do this where you do every horrible
Imagine
thing in the
a
world.
dumb like me
and then
knowing
you're
this
like,
stuff and not
God,
conservatives.
Why are these people mad at me?
I
And
know.
the other thing he does, he
I
pretends
know.
like, bro, George Soros probably like organized this, bro.
Yeah,
Can you
George
please shut
Soros,
the
anti-Semitic
George
bullshit.
Soros. And the only reason they mention him is because he's Jewish.
It's not like, oh, he actually thinks that.
When we have an actual George Soros right now in elongated musket, but they love
You
him.
know why people are mad at you. Stop it. It's also the fucking
He's doing
denials that you did,
everything
you
that
fucking
the
asshole.
that the anti-Semites claim that George Soros is doing.
The entire world, every
There were over 100 anti-Tesla protests. Over 100 last week. Over 100.
Yeah, not to mention, like, the sales
Based
don't
in-
speak for
based
themselves.
in epic
In
field.
Europe, Tesla sales are down almost by half. In Canada, I think they're down by
Nice.
in the U.S., they're down by
Gee,
double
maybe
digits.
you
In
should
China,
stop
they're
talking
down by
about
double. Like,
taking over
everywhere,
Canada, and maybe
they're
you wouldn't be
down.
so
And it's
hated
because
then. But hey,
you have this
liberals are now
man
winning, so please
baby
keep going right ahead
who
for another
is
month when the
destroying
election's
all of
over.
our and meddling in politics
Yeah.
around the world, etc.
The election completely
To go
flipped
back
around.
to
We
Tim
cannot
Walz's
wait to
point,
cover
though,
in a
you were
month
saying,
when
like,
the
I don't know
results
how
are in.
intentional this was. The fact that he clipped the video
And hopefully by
posted
that
it on Twitter,
time, when we cover it, you
But I
all
don't
down
think
there, like a
he
week later, will make the
expected
right choices too.
The negative reaction from the right.
Yeah.
Maybe we have a disagreement on this. I view
It's
Tim as almost
looking like
a-
at this
like a
stage we're
little
going to have minority government, which means the Greens
Like,
and
I
the
think he's sorta
Independents
naive.
will have the balance of power, and the Greens are to the left of Labour. So
Wait.
and so these new ones are pretty good as well. So
you're actually saying good, perhaps?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's like,
I
like a
think-
country boy
I don't
who's
know.
like,
I think he knew
I'm
he
gonna
was-
tell it straight.
I think he knew he was stirring the pot.
You do think so?
I think he knew he was
Well,
stirring
then,
the pot.
look, I hope you're right. Because in the world I'm describing where he didn't realize that it would lead to this backlash, he actually looks at the backlash and he's like, I don't know if I like getting this backlash.
Because
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're baiting it and you want that, oh, you're the 2028 guy for sure, bro.
Well, I think Democrats.
Base
it's
Shuckle
so
Walz
obvious how this
people.
has gotten under his skin.
Yes.
Like we were just saying, there's a whole of government effort now to sell Teslas.
Tim Walz,
Elon's
president,
constantly
AOC
posting about
vice
Tesla,
president.
reposting
That will
like,
make
right-wing
conservatives
influencers
very
to
angry,
buy
which
his
will
car.
be
Like,
joyful for our hearts.
These dealerships are bending down,
Oh
right?
yes,
Mark
so many
Kelly
heads
just
would
came out and was like,
explode.
I don't condone, burning down the dealerships or whatever. And so Tim Walz, in my mind, I imagine, he sees the dealerships burning down, and then he sees that he posted this, and he's thinking like, I didn't mean it like that. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, if you're right about this was planned, He's riding the wave on the left. And among liberals of like, fuck Elon and the horse he rode in on, and he knew he was going to get this reaction, and he did it anyway, and he wanted that reaction, then he's the one. He's the one. Because, Tim, I'm talking to you right now. This was good. You don't, if to the extent you feel bad about it, and did I cross the line or no. This is the game that the right plays all day, every day, and they run circles around leftists and liberals. They find some issue, they gin up the other side, they spend the rest of the week going around, I triggered the liberals, bro, we got more energy on our side now, fuck the liberals, bro. This is what they do.
Because they're Karens,
and
so
we
let's
never do
crush
that.
them.
Because we always have, decorum, civility, maybe this goes too far over here, too far over there, we need to have principles.
Crush them in Pokemon Age of History
Arizona,
free, like
dog.
I always do.
Now, you should be saying shit like this.
Crush them in
Number one, 'cause
everything
it makes
ever.
sense. Number two, to purposefully
'Cause
piss
they
these
hate
fucking
video
assholes
games.
off. I want that. They are my enemy.
Yeah.
You are my enemy.
Demons.
My politics is based
they're
around saying
born
fuck those
proved.
people. If you're cheering on cutting pediatric cancer research, fuck you. There is no middle ground.
Only two,
And
the
so
only
I
two
hope
outfits
you're right. I hope he baited
the
them.
women in
And I
their
hope
lives are allowed. Maid outfits and nude apron.
Not even a schoolgirl, huh?
he knows. Yeah, they're melting down, and I like that.
We
I
also
revel
know
in it.
that there are those that want to lower the age of consent to like
probably is
6.
some
So
of that. His instincts have been very good, and
They
he
want to
has
do
not.
evil things to
He has not shied away from saying things that Republicans are going to pick up on and like lose
And
their
then they're
minds
mad
about.
they
I mean,
can't
another
do
thing he said, he got
manga
asked
like
by,
me.
I think by Dave Weigel about the
Wait, you need to get back to Raiden.
Derek Chauvin, who's the
this was good.
cop who murdered George Floyd. And, first of all, he was like, okay, well, if they do, then he's going to spend his time in a state prison instead of a federal prison.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to.
If y'all didn't hear, Republicans are trying to get Derek Chauvin out now. Like, pardon him, the guy who killed George Floyd. No. It was legit. He did it. It's murder, whatever. Deal with it.
Going to be free either way.
again, Kurt Maltseed, dilate L plus ratio.
Because they're racist.
Maybe you shouldn't
Like,
have
it's
killed
racism. And
George Floyd, then
just
maybe you wouldn't be
flat
locked
out,
up,
not
pal.
long as just like it's racism. That's what I think.
Shouldn't have
And
been
so
on his
I don't
neck
know.
for
I think
8
his
minutes.
instincts are good here to not mince words, to
Exactly.
come out swinging, come out fighting, stand up to Greasy Gavin.
I don't want the
you know?
consultants to beat that out of him. That's my fear.
Yeah.
I don't want the consultant class because every consultant around him, Tim, don't say that. You got to tread carefully. You don't want to piss these people off too
Yeah.
much. Whereas a good consultant would be like, lean
Yes,
in more,
lean into
in
that.
more, piss them off
Absolutely.
more.
Please.
Yeah,
Because that's the era that we're in.
Well, and to your point, I saw just some headline. I haven't read the article yet, but some of these like lame moderate Democrats in these like, you know, Trump-ish districts were like, oh, I don't know if Tim Walz is like, I don't necessarily want him coming here. I'm not sure he's amplifying the right messages and whatever. And it's like,
Fuck you.
Yeah.
All the more reason to
So
double down.
there
Triple
would
down.
definitely
That's
be
gonna
pressure on him to dial it back.
But
There's
that's
no
going to
doubt.
make the people love him more if he keeps following through.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
If he did all this on purpose, he's the one. I'm telling you. He's the one if he did all this on purpose because it shows you understand the media landscape. It shows that you understand. Baiting and overreaction from the other side is beautiful politics. Whereas think of somebody like Gavin Newsom right now.
Yeah.
That would be his nightmare right now.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the right.
Yeah, for all of you who don't know, I've been thinking about talking about this, but I guess we'll cover it just a little bit. Gavin Newsom recently started doing some stupid podcast like counter Joe Rogan, and all the people he keeps bringing on are far-right dipshits, for God's sake. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Michael Savage, of all people, too. All he's talking is the right-wing retard. He doesn't talk to progressives or even other liberals. He is a fraud, and he's pathetic, and he must not become Democrats' nominee in 4 years. Absolutely not.
Yelling at him and being mad at him. He would rather have the left beat.
or else the Democrats will lose in literally every state.
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
So he
not to
misread the
mention-
moment. He misread the moment.
He's so, I mean, he's so corporate too. He'd be like very upset about corporate America being mad at him.
He's a corporate demon,
because I mean
he's a
that's his
demon.
real political power
Yeah,
has always
that's right.
come from the donor class. I mean, he's got
The only
all the
people he
Silicon
should
Valley
visit
donors,
is the warden.
Hollywood donors, and
Yeah.
when push comes to shove, like Gavin did some good things in California, but when push comes to shove, if there's a question between
do I
the
hear
donor
warden
interests
whines?
and like the working class interests, he sides with the donors.
We know where he's going.
That's his politics.
Gavin
Alright, so
Newsom's
before I
another
get
one
on
that
to the
needs
next
to
one, let me
take
point out
500
this,
million
we're
damage.
talking about Elon in the context of this speech of this segment. Listen to this. Rick Wilson, the guy from I think he's like Lincoln Project guy or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
He wrote a piece on his Substack, and the title of the piece is "Kill Tesla, Save the Country." And of course, the idea is boycott Tesla. That we need to make Elon Musk feel this economic pain
Based
in order to
economic
fight back
freedom.
against this Robert Barron coup. Right?
Let the
That's
free
point.
market decide,
So he posted
conservatives.
that on Twitter. Boom, banned by Elon.
Oh, you don't like,
They
oh, you
want
don't
kill
like
Tesla,
freedom
save
and
the country.
free
They
markets
banned-
when they go
the
against
title
you.
is Kill
Oh,
Tesla, Save the
okay.
Country. And they're acting like Tesla is a person
Yeah,
that you
this
called
is
for
like a
direct threat
direct
of
threat.
violence against. Like what? So anyway, for a month he's
'Cause you're
banned.
all
A month
Karens.
he's banned for that.
That's
Meanwhile,
Yeah,
you know,
what
Libs
happened
of
to
TikTok
loving
came out,
violence,
literally tweeted,
conservatives?
This is
You guys
domestic
love it.
terrorism,
Oh wait,
and added the
right,
FBI.
it's not
Right?
violence
About
against
Rick
minorities. It's
Wilson's
not
about Rick
minorities
Wilson's
being
tweet. Ready?
genocided.
And
That's
then-
why.
So wait for it. Of course, shout out to Evan on Twitter because he pointed this out. Libs of TikTok, she was reveling in the fact. There was an article written about her in USA Today. When Libs of TikTok posts, threats increasingly follow.
Mm-hmm.
She
Which
was
is why
holding
Libs
that
of TikTok
newspaper article
cut
and
needs to
laughing
be
about
kicked
it.
off of Twitter.
So for her,
yes,
she does threats.
Fuck that Karen
and people
cunt.
are actually threatened. Actual people
yeah,
Human beings,
are
not
absolutely.
threatened.
corporations.
Literally
Yeah.
threatened.
Yeah.
It's happened
She
many
needs
times.
to
This is her whole fucking thing. She thinks
support
people are
her
ha-ha-he-he, isn't
as
that
well
fun?
if she's
right.
there.
But somebody
Or
writes an article saying
lock
boycott
her
Tesla,
up. Lock
and she
her
asks
up.
the FBI and says this is
That's
domestic
misogyny
terrorism.
now,
This
sir,
is what I'm
don't
talking
you know?
about. Stop. There is no
Right
no
there,
middle
right
ground. There is
there.
no compromise.
All
There is
the
no
rules,
negotiation.
standard rules
You
are
don't
thrown out
care.
the window.
You
She's
don't
scum.
care about my
Point that
feelings?
out.
Oh.
Fight them. All you can do is defeat these people. That's what they need to understand.
Yeah. No,
Fuck
I mean,
your
that's absolutely
feelings.
right. And
Fuck
unfortunately,
them
she
in the
has, like,
arse.
Betty boy,
really
listen
in a lot of
to
ways
these.
behind her
They're
because of Trump
talking
saying
to
that
me.
this is now domestic terror. It's going to be investigated as such, etc. So that's insane, though. I mean, the irony too is that the more that they show that this bothers them, like the more that Elon shows that this bothers him, the more.
Good. I hope you suffer and cry
It was
more.
after Trump
Suffer.
said, anybody touches a Tesla dealership, it's terrorism. It was in the week after that they were like 100 anti-Tesla protests, multiple things burned down.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is bothering
Oh,
you.
this is your weak spot?
Okay, all right. Because
Yeah,
other
we're
than
gonna
that,
do
you know,
even
there
more
was a
of it.
chance that.
I wonder how he'd feel if maybe I should put Tesla cars in MTWS. maybe monster truck.
He'd probably try to hunt you down in person.
Oh, I bet he would love seeing Teslas getting crushed by monster trucks.
He would have been impervious even to the, Tesla
Maybe you'll
stock
even like
dropping
him for
and
once.
so much other money. The whole federal
That'd be
government's
fun.
stopping his net worth at this point. So it would be possible that he would not really care, or at least not really show that he cared about this. So yeah, he's exposed a vulnerability, and there are plenty of people out there who want to take advantage of it.
That's right. Hey, y'all, do me a favor. And
That was great. So we got to say about base
awesome.
Shuckle Walz destroying
500 million damage. Actually, I think it's 1.8 billion is the new maximum now. So figure that out, and we find that out, and we can add that instead of Shuckle.
Again, people, like we said, you don't fuckle with Shuckle. How many times we got warned you,
Yeah.
people? We're huge Pokemon fans. We've warned you for years. Don't do it. But you all don't listen.
Yeah.
But hey, keep taking the bait and keep getting destroyed because we love it. All right, so now, what's up next?
And that would be Sansita destroying conservatives again and again and again endlessly.
What's this? Someone else that didn't realize you don't fuckle with the Shuckle? Oh, man. You remember what happened? Do you conservatives remember what happened last time, Sam? You fuckled with the base Shuckle Sam Cedar? Do you all remember? I remember, and we enjoyed it. Oh, wait. What about all the libertarians that fuckled with the Shuckle? Oh, man, they don't exist anymore.
Remember a few libertarians are now lefties, but most of them are now Nazis.
Yep, as always, you all are idiots. So let's see, based Sam Cedar once again humiliate conservatives by doing almost like Luigi, doing absolutely nothing.
As a layman, when the USAID is exposed in the fashion that it has been, and all of a sudden we have this transparency.
Is that Lawrence Southern?
In my
None
lifetime.
of this stuff was hidden at all.
Why
I
are
can
those
answer
people
that
Who cares? Still a cunt either way.
I can answer that question.
What does DC?
I'm pretty sure it's that Benny Johnson fucker that's a Russian asset too.
Oh, the Russian asset.
As you all know, Republicans lately have been getting chewed out by their constituents at town halls, in part because of what Elon Musk is illegally doing with Doge, but also because these Republicans aren't doing anything to stop him. And it's gotten so bad that party leaders have told Republicans to just stop doing town halls altogether because they don't anticipate that things are going to get any better anytime soon for them. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is calling the people confronting their elected representatives paid troublemakers because, of course, he is. There's no way that they're actually just mad because an unelected oligarch is destroying their government from within, so they must be getting paid from someone, either Democrats or George Soros or both. But whether these Republicans like it or not, anger towards Elon Musk and Doge is only going to continue to grow because more Americans are becoming aware of the fact that Doge isn't conducting an audit to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. It is specifically acting to cripple government agencies that pose a regulatory threat to Elon Musk's companies, and it's also trying to cut money Congress already appropriated to finance tax cuts for rich people like Elon Musk. And a couple of weeks ago, the New York Times
take everyone's social security away and use it and turn it into the military and police to go around massacring black people.
You want to hear something that's so sad? I've done more work just recently, like in the last hour of doing this episode, working on my Pokemon Violet playthrough team than these conservatives probably done in their lifetimes.
Detailed how some of the first agencies that Doge targeted were the ones that were regulating
what Pokemon these Pokemon were going to be fighting in my story.
Now to work on my Brilliant Diamond team, because I'm about to beat that game very soon, and they're going to be very mad too. Another game that I'm going to beat that they can't do because they're stupid.
Companies or investigating his companies for violations. So this isn't being done to our benefit. It's being done to the benefit of rich people like Elon Musk and to our detriment. People are aware of this, and they're rightfully pissed off about it, which is why right-wing propagandists are now working overtime to try to obfuscate what's happening. And Piers Morgan brought on Sam Cedar to debate the efficacy of Doge with two leading experts. One of them is Jillian Michaels, star of Jillian Michaels' Fitness Ultimatum 2009, 2010, and 2011 for the Nintendo Wii and Nintendo DS, and the other is Russian-funded right-wing influencer and closeted homosexual Benny Johnson, who learned the hard way what targeted ads were. And as you're going to see, it doesn't go very well for them when they try to fact-check, and I say fact very charitably here, Sam Cedar. But first,
why do you conservatives bother? You know you're not going to survive Sam Cedar's 5 million, 100 million damage or whatever. You're not. Why even bother trying? Oh, that's right. Remember Crowder warned?
It's delusional.
Remember when Crowder warned you? Well, don't talk to Cedar. He's going to make you all look bad like he did to me years ago.
Sam is going to explain why he doesn't believe that Doge is actually about eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse or government efficiency at all.
Audits are done regularly of agencies by inspector generals. The first thing they did was to fire all those inspector generals and not replace them. A. B. Audits that lead to firings within a couple of days are obviously not being done. The notion that this is about efficiency when you're laying off thousands of IRS agents, when it is well known that every dollar spent at the IRS returns for the government $6 or $7. You're clearly not talking about efficiency here as measured in any other way other than allowing wealthy people to get away with cheating on their taxes. I mean, I could go on, but there's absolutely no evidence that there's a single audit going on. To the extent that they've saved any money, it has been largely dismissed as clerical errors on their part, and we still have no substantiation about it.
And what Sam Cedar is saying here is undeniably true. So to show you what I mean, let's look at some headlines. Doge's claim that it saved $8 billion by canceling an $8 million contract raises questions about its wall of receipts. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Doge secretly changes receipts for almost half of its supposed savings. Great job, guys. Doge claims credit for killing contracts that were already dead. Another one. Doge's only public ledger is riddled with mistakes. The figures from Elon Musk's team of outsiders represent billions in government cuts. They're also full of accounting errors, outdated data, and other miscalculations. Yeah, so to believe that this pseudo-agency is doing what it says it's doing is a joke. But Pierce sidesteps what Sam said and claims that they actually have found government waste. But first and foremost, they haven't found anything.
Remember when he got punched in the face by Jeremy Clarkson, everyone sided with Jeremy Clarkson.
Publicized information that was already publicly available and in many cases drastically mischaracterized the things that they didn't like. Or they outright lied about them to justify their existence and to make it seem as if what they're doing is good, to make it seem as if they're discovering all of these scandalous things that the government is funding, when you could just look to see what the government is funding. Now, second of all, it's not their role to eliminate what they view as waste, because that's Congress's job, and Sam explained this to Pierce.
You can have an opinion that it's squandered. I can have an opinion that it's squandered, but it's been appropriated by the Congress. And in America, we have actually both statutory, constitutional, and court cases that say the President of the United States and the executive branch cannot decide unilaterally that they're not going to appropriate money that Congress has appropriated. I mean, the line item video has been found to be unconstitutional. We have
everything
the Empowerment Control Act from 1974.
Yep.
We have
Doge's existence is unconstitutional.
From
That's why I keep saying it's a fake organization, people.
Supreme Court case which enforces
because it is.
What they're doing is fundamentally illegal. I mean, you may think that some of the spending is not worthy. I may think it's not worthy, but that's just not the way our government works.
And therein lies the problem, because even if they could competently do what they say they're doing, it wouldn't be legal because Doge doesn't get to cancel money Congress already appropriated. That is Congress's job. And this is why so many GOP lawmakers are getting chewed out at town halls, because if you're going to allow Doge to just unilaterally dictate how money is spent, then what's the point of Congress? Why are you there? You should just resign if you're a congressman and you're not going to fight this, because they're basically taking the role that you're supposed to have. They're taking your power away from you, and you're sitting idly by and doing nothing. But I mean, it's so much worse than just that, because the New York City comptroller claims that Doge actually removed $80 million in FEMA funding that was already appropriated by Congress and put into their bank account. But Doge removed it from the city's bank account. So it's not just illegal, it is outright theft. And Sam is right to point out that Doge doesn't get to dictate how Congress spends its money, because Congress, not Doge, has the power of the purse. But this is when Pierce brings out the big guns, one of the experts, Jillian Michaels, who's going to explain to Sam that even though it's not supposed to be this way, she wants it to be this way, therefore it should be this way.
Jillian, you were shaking your head there.
Because it doesn't seem that the government is working. As a layman, when
it only doesn't work when you Republicans try to strangle it.
The USAID is exposed in the fashion that it has been. And
it doesn't work because of you Republicans.
Transparency that we've never had in my lifetime.
None of this stuff was hidden at all. None of this stuff was hidden at all. It's just that
so you're telling me that the average American knew that we were funding friggin' operas for trans people in who knows where?
I mean, interested
nobody
in
knew
this.
Completely made up. You can tell that it's made up because it's like getting trans people in California to do underwater basket weaving or something like
when
that.
When you hear this stuff, people, you gotta realize how silly it sounds. Like, come on, there's nothing to argue. It's no.
Just, do you really believe that?
It's dismissed.
Wow. For those who don't know, one man is one of the most powerful
can be dismissed without evidence.
You just laugh at it.
Arguments that you can use in a debate. Now, I love how her indignant response indicates that out of all of them, she thinks that Sam is the one who's being naive, when she's the one who didn't know that you could already look up all of the things that the government was funding. And apparently, she didn't care that much because she never bothered to look. Now, the transgender opera that she's whining about was a $25,000 grant to a university in Columbia from the State Department that's documented online. You can see it. They weren't hiding this. Now, she clearly thinks that this isn't the best use of taxpayer funds, and she's free to believe that. Either. But in my opinion, there are other things that the State Department is funding that's higher on my list of priorities, just personally speaking, such as genocide. In fact, I'd much prefer that my tax dollars go towards the arts than bombs that are being used in an ongoing genocide. But I mean, hey, different strokes for different folks, right? But the point that Sam is making is that Doge doesn't get to dictate how this money is being spent. They appropriated money for the State Department, and they spend that money how they best see fit. If Republicans don't like it, they go through Congress and they defund it. That's how the system works. And that should be easy in theory, since Republicans are in control of all branches of government. But nobody's pointing that out. Everybody just thinks that it's fine for Doge to illegally axe these funds that have already been appropriated. But Benny Johnson comes in with a big-brained argument and contends that what Doge is doing actually is not illegal, because of his interpretation of the Constitution, that I guess is superior to literally everybody else in the country.
So I've heard the Constitution thrown around a lot here. All right, let's talk about Article 2.
We have to once again remind you all that Benny Johnson here is a Russian asset, so anything he says should be just instantly dismissed and laughed at.
Of the Constitution.
Dismiss everything he says automatically.
Has a clause called the vesting clause. The vesting clause makes one single man that is elected by the whole American people the only position in the federal government that
you know that he's fucking describing fucking Putin, not
President
Trump.
of the United States, who is
This is
vested
describing
with the
Russia,
power to
not
oversee
fucking,
the executive.
not
And that
America.
includes congressional spending. That includes the functionaries of the government, including the commander-in-chief.
I'm so glad I'm playing Brilliant Diamond right now instead of listening to what you're saying,
There
pal.
are elected
When I'd rather play piece of shit BDSP than hear you. That's pretty sad.
American people. Now, I have a giant map in my studio. I don't know if your production team can pop me. There it is. This is what America decided.
Oh,
no, it's not.
The guy is using the congressional map as proof that Americans vote for conservatives. Land doesn't vote, people.
People vote, not land.
Oh my
you
God.
fucking
In
Russian
2024,
assets.
In a landslide and with the popular vote.
Also, Trump did not win.
It's actually the smallest victory in history.
Trump did not win a landslide, you fucking morons. He won by 1.5% of the vote, which was, I think, the lowest. I mean, the closest election since 2000 and all that. All the swing states he won were very close, pretty much. No, it's not a swing. I mean, it was not a landslide. He barely won. That's
All of the American people decided to vest a single man, Donald Trump, to hunt down, waste.
And it doesn't matter. Trump doesn't have all that power, dipshit. Just because you love Putler doesn't mean Trump can do the same things, pal. Sorry.
Fraud and abuse.
Just because your whole channel only exists because of Russia doesn't mean that you can
just.
Doesn't mean you can say you can apply Russian dictatorship to here.
How about we kick you out, pal? How about that if you're going to be a Russian asset?
How about we send you to Russia?
Yeah, you would love to suck up the Putler in a maid outfit, wouldn't you?
Feeding the American people. What I view as just is filling the potholes, educating, healthcare, and the capacity to serve Americans. And so,
you can't make this shit up. As they're literally preparing a significant cut to snap, Benny Johnson is pretending like we shouldn't be sending all of this money to foreign countries to feed hungry people because we could be using that money to feed hungry Americans. Really, Benny? Because we all know that you would be opposed to those programs here too, to feed Americans. So why don't you stop pretending that that's what you mean when you say America first, because you're full of shit. But apparently, everything that Trump does is justified according to Benny because he won in a landslide. In actuality, his popular vote margin was like 1.5%. And as for the map that he was so proud of that he pointed out, that doesn't prove that Trump has a mandate. First of all, turnout was 63.7%, meaning more than a third of the country didn't even vote. So that map isn't representative of the whole country like he says it is. It's representative of the population that voted. Second of all, most of the red that you're seeing is land, not people. So it's not a great visual representation
People
of
vote,
data.
not land, you Russian asset.
Look at that big on blue circles in Maryland. All jealous.
And I say this because when you look at the breakdown of the 2024 results by county, it doesn't look so red. But when you fill it in, of course it's going to look more red. But to better demonstrate what I'm saying, I want to show you a visualization of the 2016 electoral map by county. So if you look at it, it just looks like a massive sea of red with some blue spots here and there. It looks like the country is mostly just Republican. But when you look at the population sizes of counties, you then begin to see that the sea of red is actually more of a sea of blue with some red specks. Now, that is...
Yeah, and Hillary had 3 million more votes, dipshit. How about that one?
Exactly.
And if we were in an actual democracy, not having bullshit electoral college, she should have been president. So stay mad.
Change the fact that Trump won both the electoral vote and the popular vote in 2024. But my point is that pointing to a red map doesn't mean that Trump has a mandate. And even if he did have a mandate, which he doesn't, he still would be restrained by the Constitution like every other president. But Benny Johnson thinks that Article 2 gives the president dictatorial powers, I guess, and we're supposed to believe that that interpretation of the Constitution, that bastardized interpretation of the Constitution, is what we're all supposed to go with. Because he's in a cult, and everything that Donald Trump says is by definition good. And look, I've got to point out how ironic it is that all of the America First people never have a problem with the fact that our government gives billions of dollars in aid to Israel. See, people like Benny Johnson take issue with HIV medication and food going to developing countries, or aid going to Ukraine so they can defend themselves.
Let's kick all these fuckers out and let base Sam Cedar be president.
Against the Russian invasion, but the moment that Israel comes up, all of a sudden it's okay to give them our hard-earned tax dollars, and America First goes out the window.
It's like,
so
well, remember that
about America First.
And they're mad that
remember that only genocidal Zion Nazis are Jews now, according to
Benny Boy,
according to Israel, according to America, according to his 38 Australian universities.
First, if you don't have shit to say about our money going towards a literal genocide in Gaza. But even though Sam has taken the time to explain repeatedly how Doge isn't doing what it says it's doing, Piers Morgan ignores everything that he says. It goes in one ear and out the other, I guess, and just pretends like the justification for all of these Doge cuts is to bring down the debt and the deficit.
He's
when in
like
actuality,
Joe Rogan, who
that's
they
not
both
what it's
insist
about.
that they're liberals,
the cuts
when they're not.
are intended to finance some of the $4.5 trillion
At
in tax
least
cuts
like
for the
Piers
rich.
Morgan has a little tiny bit of integrity, has a little bit of integrity. From time to time. I've seen him push back a couple of times.
The only good thing I see him do lately is defend Ukraine. That's like it.
And Sam explained this and offered an actual realistic solution to the debt crisis that they incessantly whine about. But odds are they're probably not going to take him up on that. Nonetheless, let's hear him out.
I like the level of debt your country's in.
I don't think it's as much of a problem as you do.
Benny, shut up and let Cedar talk.
We know the debt shot off like a rocket.
Let Sam talk, you Russian asset.
And then with the Trump tax cuts, and they want to extend those. And so if we want to deal with the debt, and if that's a genuine concern, we can go back to the time in this country where we had the greatest economic expansion during the 50s and the 60s, when we had a top tax marginal rate of 90% of every dollar that would be earned over $470,000. Today, it would be $3 million. And if these guys are very concerned about the debt and deficit, we have a way of raising that money. We can go back to the greatest economic time of this country. So if that's genuinely their concern, we have that power to do it.
Because they've been told that's not their concern by their Russian handlers.
GDP, we're not spending significantly more per capita than we were in those years. The problem is that we don't have the revenue. There's been huge tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires and presided over by two Republican administrations
Yeah, but something tells me that these deficit hawks aren't going to take Sam up on that offer. But it's always so infuriating to me how whenever we talk about social services like healthcare and education and whatnot, there's always this conversation about how we're going to pay for that, and this assumption that we can't afford to pay for that because of the deficit and the debt. But whenever it comes to foreign aid to human rights abusers like Israel or Saudi Arabia or more tax cuts for the rich, that same conversation never takes place because apparently we get
be as salty and mad as the developer I just froze.
Can always afford more tax cuts for the rich or more money, for death and destruction. But when it comes to housing and feeding people, well, how are we going to pay for that? Got to tighten the belts. We just can't afford to be recklessly spending money on all this shit.
How are we going to pay to help people? By the way, let's send $1 trillion over to the military-industrial complex while they bomb Gaza while they pay Israel and prepare them to start World War III.
And let the Russian Nazi state take over Ukraine.
Critical. It's
and
so
Moldova and Georgia.
But I mean, regardless, it's still mind-boggling to have a conversation about how to pay for anything
all the other
when we're letting billionaires and corporations get away
countries.
with trillions of dollars in unpaid taxes, which is revenue that could be going towards the deficit that they claim to care about so much. They're just so full of shit, and it's infuriating. But that brings us to the climax of the conversation where Benny Johnson responds to what Sam Seder said by stupidly implying that Sam's recommendation to raise the marginal tax rate back to 90% makes him some kind of an extremist, which just goes to show you that Benny Johnson does not know what the fuck he's talking about. And throughout his smug screed, he's going to inadvertently reveal that he doesn't actually know the difference between a marginal and effective tax rate. And more importantly, he's going to try to back Sam into a corner, but he gets checkmated instead, and his response to being checkmated is priceless. Just watch his face after Sam answers the question that he poses.
I love it. This is my favorite argument
What you're about to witness, people, is 500 million damage.
Ever heard on your show. I love it. Go to the American people. Sam, I beg of you, join the DNC, run for DNC chair. I'll do anything, okay? I want your...
Pal, that would be the worst thing you could ever want if Sam C became the DNC
that would
chairman.
be the end of you. That would be the end of you. That would be the end of your party. That would be the end of your grift.
Everything. You would all be destroyed if Sam Seder became DNC chair. That would be glorious.
Ideas to be the ideas that Democrats bring to the midterms and to the 2028 election. More IRS agents. Raise taxes to 90% of wages.
On the rich.
I love it, Sam.
No,
How do I
90%. Top marginal rate.
How do I do it? Where can I do it?
And no billionaires taxed.
Just send the money to me directly.
It's the greatest argument ever. You're right, Sam.
Taxing millionaires and billionaires actually does quite well in terms of Poland. And when
dude, there was a literal Republican there was a dang it, stuff that Republicans been doing recently where constituents have been crying about. There was one video of them saying tax the rich for crying out loud.
Americans
even Republicans want
the
rich to be taxed.
Looks like in this country today.
Yep.
When they actually see the wealth disparity.
Yeah, we've seen
it's
wealth
quite
disparity.
popular.
It looks like a federal government that's $37 trillion in debt, spending money on total bullshit.
You don't know what wealth disparity means.
And absolute and total fraud. Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question?
You can Google it and find out what it means.
Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question? Why are the richest counties in all of America the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.?
Oh my God, this is an Aaron Dixon argument.
What do those counties do?
Okay, I've got to explain this. I've got to mention this story. So, there was, about 5-6 years ago, a guy called Aaron Dixon. I'm not even kidding you. He had 50 plus different bot troll NPC accounts. And he just copied the same comments over and over and over and over and over again. He would spam it hundreds of times in many of Sam's videos for years and years and years. And it was like, you could tell the dude was an NPC. He just copy pasted so many different fake talking points.
Reminds me of all the trolls we had to deal with on Sam Seder's channel and Kyle's channel. Oh my goodness, so many of them.
Pearl deposits there I don't know about? Did they strike oil? Is there some type of rich
Jimbo Viz, remember?
Maybe you can answer me that question.
Good
Why
old
are
Alex
people so
Zeon.
filthy rich? You don't seem to like rich people, so maybe explain why.
I can answer that question.
What does DC
You want me to
make,
answer it?
Sam?
It's lobbyists. It's lobbyists like all of the ones that have been appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet and to political positions. Rich
You got nothing,
lobbyists,
Benny
lobbyists
boy.
for all sorts
Yep,
of these
you got
industries that
nothing,
you supposedly have
Benny, a
problem with.
Russian asset.
And that's where all the money is being
Go
made. It's
back
not being
to
made by
Pooler's
federal
mansion and get
workers.
sucked
It's
and
being
suck 'em
made by
off.
lobbyists.
Exactly.
And those are
Get
sent by
deported.
corporations.
That was thoroughly enjoyable. And it just goes to show
again,
you why these
Sam,
grifters hate debating
no
Sam
effort.
Cedar,
He was
because
like
what they think is a
Luigi.
gotcha
He did nothing.
is an easy question to
million
Sam.
damage.
How do you all let Sam Cedar do this with no effort? He doesn't even have to try.
And the look on his face when Sam answered the
It's just
question
like
that he
the
thought was
freaking
so
Jubilee
difficult
thing
said it all.
last
He just
time.
laughed because, of course,
Yeah.
Sam called him out for his bullshit, and he knew it. He was caught right there. Couldn't respond because his big gotcha amounted to nothing. You know, he thought that he was playing Sam, but he didn't realize that the controller wasn't even plugged in. So good job, Benny. You really showed him. But I mean, this is what frustrates
Because he was
me
too
about
busy, like,
conservatives.
flight
They
smashing
talk-
his controller,
I'll
his
tell you
smash
right
his
now
door.
what Sam did. Sam was being Psycho Mantis.
No, they were too busy smashing their controller in the door and open up a new controller like Flight would do.
about how corporations are bad, yet they vote for politicians who say they're going to deregulate
Benny-
corporations.
Benny
They
just
talk about how
effectively
big
screamed
pharma
that
is bad,
Sam Cedar
yet
was a
they
tryhard
recoil
and
if you
sweat
dare to
his
bring
tea
up
was too cheap and
nationalizing these
everything.
big pharma companies. You know, they'll talk about elites and liberal billionaires like George Soros while pretending like right-wing billionaires aren't also part of the problem. They talk about the cabal, yet pretend like Trump isn't one of Jeffrey Epstein's closest friends
You
whose
know,
name
the
appeared in the
Jewish
flight logs like
cabal,
8
because
times.
he's a
They are
fucking
fundamentally
racist piece of
inconsistent
shit.
because they have no core ideology aside from owning the libs and hating on minorities. The reality is that the only purpose of the right-wing movement in this country is to rationalize and justify the barbarity of capitalism. See, if we increase welfare for the poor, that's bad because socialism. But if we increase welfare to the rich and corporations, that's apparently good because they're job creators and that's the free market somehow, even though so many corporations couldn't exist without government subsidies. See, to them, they support socialism, but they support socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the rest of us. But to keep up this charade, they've got to lie to us about how Elon Musk is actually dismantling the government out of the goodness of his heart for us. Not because he's trying to line his own pockets. He's doing it for us because he loves us. His heart
And
goes
his
out
ass
to
must
us.
be deported.
As Elon Musk might put
Yes,
it.
and send
And you know,
him
while
back
this
to
robbery
South
takes place in
Africa
front of us,
and
these
South
same
Africa
people have the
and
fucking
making sure that
audacity
the
to tell
people
us
who want him
that
dead get
immigrants and
access
trans
to
people
him.
are actually the cause to all of our problems, when in reality, it's the billionaires like Elon Musk and the people like Benny Johnson and Jillian Michaels and Piers Morgan who lick their boots day after day.
Again, why you all try? You're not going to beat Sam Cedar, and that was a beautiful sight seeing you all get destroyed again and again and again and again and again, like you all got destroyed back 10 years ago with libertarians getting owned by them. So what you got to say about Cedar once again with no effort, humiliating these fools?
Oh, it is so easy for Sam Cedar to do it. Remember, he is the OG when it comes to progressives, this sort of format.
He doesn't even have to try.
Radio / YouTube format. Sam Cedar is the OG.
They haven't learned from Dim Fool's failures as well.
All
right.
They never will.
All right, so now, on to
They're
the next
delusional.
topic.
And that'll be the last one. All the horseshoe theorying that's now happening. I wouldn't really say it's horseshoe theorying, considering that we know that many of these that I've lost my train of thought. That at some point, at a certain point in the authoritarian scale, left and right becomes meaningless.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Like the last 2 episodes, I kept forgetting because there's other things to talk about, and it actually got merged with another topic because it was pretty much the same thing. As of course, ever since Trump became president, all the stupid, dumb leftists on Twitter all of a sudden are defending him, and they're doing all the same bullshit as always. Trump's trying to end the Russia-Ukraine war by fucking over Ukraine. Based! He's anti-imperialist war and all that.
End it by handing Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia over to Russia.
Yeah, these people, especially fucking dipshit Nick Cruz, if you remember I posted a few weeks ago, actually think this. That letting Russia take over everyone.
That's their job. Remember.
Yep. Oh,
remember, they're either paid in some way by Russia, or they're more likely paid by the CIA.
But yeah, a whole bunch of idiot, dumb leftists expose themselves as actual grifters. Because if you're true leftists, you don't support this crap. It ain't debatable.
Exactly.
But of course, this other topic I was going to do, some crazy Karen cunt broke Kyle's brain immensely, as she was some stupid, as she calls herself, a MAGA leftist.
Oh my god.
And made Kyle so insane that he wanted to put his nuts in a waffle iron, as he said. This stupid cunt is supposedly a leftist, but spews all the far-right MAGA talking points on it. Exposes
like I said, remember, she's probably just adopted Jackson Dinkelberg's MAGA communist thing.
Yep, it's so sad and pathetic. So let's watch Kyle rage and cry along with the rest of us.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know right now. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it through this clip. I do not know if I can psychologically handle what I'm about to watch. I listened to this clip the other day and decided to throw it in
I've
the
already
show.
watched it twice already.
My blood was boiling. Every second of this clip, my blood boiled more and more and more and more. Because what you're about to hear is what I consider the biggest and worst political grift of all time in this moment. And what I'm talking about, there's this woman by the name of Batya Unger Sargon. And
sounds like some love child between Jake Uger and Sargon.
Oh god. Oh god, you had to put that in my brain.
I'm not the one who has
You
that
had
name
to
now.
put that thought in my brain. Screw you, Tim.
You're a MAGA.
You had to put that thought in my brain.
Blame her for having her name.
Of the century. So let's hear her out.
Batya Unger Sargon.
And react. Here we go.
Here's the problem that the Democrats have.
And this is her
Trump
talking.
has outflanked them to the left on the
Oh
economy.
god, this crap again. Trump has outflanked liberals on the left. No, he has not, you stupid cunt.
So he's
No, that's what you've done is you've done is decided that you're going to cuck yourself to fascism.
I want to wear a maid outfit for Putler Senpai.
8 seconds in to a minute and 44 seconds.
Or a
clip,
nude
and
apron.
I already want to shove my nuts in a waffle iron. Trump has outflanked Democrats to the left on the economy.
This is literally what Nick Cruz
That
said
may
pretty
literally
much.
be the least true thing I've ever heard.
Yep. This is what those MAGA communist grifters believe.
Mentally ill flat earth creationist ramble for hours, and they would make more sense than what this woman just said. All right, I'm gonna let it go. I'll let it go a little longer, then we'll react.
stole what was the Democrats' platform for 100 years, economic protectionism, creating an economy that rewards hard work of working class people.
Trump is anti-workers, you stupid fuck.
Yeah.
Protecting
He
labor through tariffs
wants to get rid of all protections so that workers die every day.
towards hard work of working class people, protecting labor through tariffs and through controlling.
His tariffs ain't gonna do shit. Also, he's gotten rid of labor protections since he became president because he's anti-labor. He wants workers to die. If you want the actual base protectionist, we had that person. His name was senile old man Biden. Ha 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 ha.
Exactly,
He did exactly what you all wanted.
The border by
And you
limiting
shat all
supply-
over him.
Oh, and of course, secure
called
the
it-
border.
and it
Hey,
called it-
hey,
called it
bitch.
blue.
Hey, bitch, that's what Dems did. Secure the border. You guys made up that there is an invasion and the borders are open and all that. It's all made up.
labor, which of course
It's
raises the
all
wages
lies,
of
all
Americans.
lies.
This was the Democrats' economic platform since the New Deal. And Trump simply
no.
lifted it from them because the Democrats had stopped catering to labor and
Biden was more closer to New Deal bullshit. How about that?
started catering to the kind of people Michelle Obama's podcast is for, rich women. And because the Democrats don't have an economic platform anymore for the working class,
Neither do you guys.
they have to
never
take on
have,
Trump
never
with
will.
these cultural battles that make them sound insane, like defending the right of men to show their penises to little girls in locker rooms.
Sure, cunt.
Projection! The projection! Loser Butthead's husband did
I don't even know
that.
why I do the show anymore.
Literally
I'm gonna go to the
did
end,
that.
And then we will have a grand old time responding to all this.
Exposed to horrific.
Yeah, don't you... Yeah, we're not transphobes like you are. Sorry.
specifically.
Yeah, we're
And so
not
Trump
we're
found it
not
so
turf neo-Nazis like you and JQ Rowling.
Who's still bitter that she'll never be loved like Britt Allcroft.
easy then to simply say, well, I'm going to be the moderate on this, on all of these social issues. And so he won both.
Trump calling Trump a moderate. Oh my God, no. Just no.
On the economic policy, then
No,
on the
he
social
is a
policy, and then on the
fascist.
foreign
He is
policy
a fascist fucking Nazi.
stealing the Democrats' anti-war
And I can
platform.
say that because I have German relatives, and when they were over, they saw Donald Trump, and they talked about comparing him to Hitler, and they compared him to Hitler.
Oh my God! Now she's going on Trump's.
This is what happened in Germany when Hitler reigned.
And now she's going on Trump's anti-war and all that.
Oh,
and Kyle just died.
Ah, yes, the anti-war grift.
Happy Kyle died.
I hand over all of Ukraine, all of Moldova, and all of Georgia over to Russia.
And Taiwan to China.
Yep. And Bhutan as well.
Vietnam, the Philippines.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
Kyle died.
Hand over Armenia and Azerbaijan to Russia. Hand over Syria, Iraq, and Jordan to the Neo-Ottoman Empire.
Well, wait, pal. First things first. Azerbaijan's got to take over Armenia, remember?
Ah, yes, that's right. They got to Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkey got to do to Armenia what the Nazis and the Soviets did to Poland.
Do it. I don't know why I'm here.
Oh, those dumb leftists will be angry if you point that out, remember? Because they do not like the Molotov from a trunk. Like, freaking, Hakeem, remember when we covered him?
Yeah. Vomit.
Why am I on this earth? Why am I on this earth?
Now I can't hear anything.
How do you make Kyle die?
About Trump. That makes people literally shut their brain off completely, not look at any of the actual policies that have been implemented, and just go by his vibe. Just go by what he farts out on the rally stage. What is it about this man that makes people stop thinking critically and actually analyzing evidence and data and reality? And they just, bro, remember when he called Liz Cheney a warmonger? Remember when he called Kamala
He's a warmonger too, so I don't care what he says.
He's
Obviously,
a big
that means he's
warmonger.
anti-war, right? Batya, I'm going to say this as simply as possible. You're a sucker. You're a sucker. And that's me being kind. Either that or you're a fucking brazen liar. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you're...
And of course, speaking of the devil, I went on Nick Cruz's Twitter, and now he's doing all this pro-China BS right now.
Of course.
Just a sucker.
Of course.
You should not listen to anything any politician says. It's what they do that matters. You got caught up in all the... they're warmongers. These Democrats, they're warmongers. Can you believe this? I'm going to stop all this stupid Middle East war. You got caught up in all that. Oh, he's saying the thing that I like to hear. Oh, that means anti-war Trump. How many times have we been through this? What's the reality? Let's limit this to just his first fucking term. Just his first term. What did Trump do in his first term? Increased drone strikes, 432%. Does that sound anti-war to you?
Yep.
People call Barack Obama the drone president because he did a lot of drone strikes. Trump blew Barack Obama out of the water.
Huh, maybe Obama's the anti-war person for once.
Compared to fucking Trump, he is.
Yeah.
And don't get started about how much of an anti-war person Biden was.
The drone president, what a warmonger. Nobody says it.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Trump is anti-war. Did he end the war in Afghanistan? Oh wait, that was Biden who did that. Did he almost end the war? Oh wait, that was Biden who did that. Did he help based Ukrainians defend themselves from the Russian Nazi state? Oh wait, no, that was Biden that did all that. Maybe Biden was the anti-war candidate.
Because nobody cares
also
about the details
don't forget that we're not just talking about Christian Nazis here with the various groups he's pulled from. We're also talking about the Chechens, who are basically Islamic Nazis.
Who are murdering gays and all that.
They go by vibes like you.
Yep.
That's what you do. What else did he do? Kept us in Iraq. Kept us in Afghanistan. The number of civilian deaths in Afghanistan under Trump skyrocketed 330%. Trump bombed Syria twice. In fact, he said, we're occupying a third of Syria to, quote, take the oil. That's what he said. That's why we're in Syria, and he admitted we were in there, and he said we were taking the oil. He bombed Somalia. He increased the Pentagon budget every single year. He let Israel illegally annex the Golan Heights, which is Syrian territory. He took $100 million from Miriam Adelson with the quid pro quo of letting Israel annex the West Bank.
Which is corruption.
He assassinated a top
That should
Iranian
have impeached
commander,
him on that
General
alone.
Soleimani, who was in the field fighting ISIS.
Which is
an illegal
corruption and
assassination.
corruption
He tried to
there.
coup Venezuela. He ripped up the Iran agreement. He armed Saudi Arabia as they did a genocide and vetoed a bill to cut off the weapons to them. He said he wants war with Mexico in his second term. He says Biden isn't supporting Israel
wanted to
enough and
invade
letting them,
Mexico in his
quote,
first
finish
term,
the job.
people.
He dropped a Moab, the mother of all bombs,
Now he
on
wants to
Afghanistan.
invade literally
He
every
hired
country
John
in the
Bolton,
fucking
Mike
North
Pompeo,
and South
Gina Haspel,
America.
all insane neocon warmongers, and let them run his foreign policy. His very first military raid as president killed a young American girl. He pardoned Blackwater war
He
criminals
thinks
who
the
did
world-
Nice
the real
Square
life is
massacre and gunned
ancient
down
history
civilians.
free.
He signed pro-torture executive orders. He said we should, quote,
And he's
take
mad
out
he's
the
not good at it
families
like
of
I am.
terrorists. This is who this guy is. This is what he actually
Yep.
did. What he did.
You're completely destroying him. You'd destroy him in just a few turns.
I think you would like to experience what I did at the Kukuji Empire. Remember that?
Not a single
I
fucking
remember
part of
that.
that is anti. Not a
You were happy
single
that you were
part of that
Japanese.
is anti-war. And I didn't even touch the second term yet, where he's going around every day saying we're gonna make Canada the 51st state. If they don't want it, that's too bad. We're gonna redraw the map if they don't want it. We're gonna take some of their territory. This is his act.
Please, Trump, keep doing that. You're just helping the Liberal Party turn their 30-point deficit into a massive win right now. Because of your big mouth, now the Liberal Party is going to win the majority in Canada at the moment. You got no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
There's that.
To the
Panama.
point
We're
where
gonna-
Canadian
Congratulations. You played yourself.
To the point where Canadian conservatives are screaming on the conservative Reds, please, Trump, stop. You're killing our chances,
We're gonna
please.
take Panama back. Should have never get away. We're gonna take Panama back. We're gonna steal
I
Panama.
don't care.
Greenland, we're
I
gonna
don't
steal
care.
Greenland.
I want
Greenland's
to
very
rule
important.
an
We're gonna
entire
take
American
Greenland.
empire that's
Iran.
around, all around the big,
Just
beautiful
bragging
flat
about bombing
Earth.
Yemen literally yesterday. Bragged about bombing Somalia last week or 2 weeks ago. How does none of that count in your mind? Oh, Donald Trump's anti-war and the Democrats are pro-war. I have many problems with Joe Biden. There was a lot of stuff he did that was insanely pro-war, like with Israel, for example, arming them, funding them as they bomb innocent civilians on a daily basis. There's a lot to criticize there. Joe Biden also got us out of Afghanistan. Did you give him fucking credit for that?
We did.
Hey, look,
No
you
one
actually
else
something against our
did.
war. That's base. Did you do that?
Yeah, we did.
you
No
didn't.
one else
Did you
did.
give Biden any credit when he?
Oh my God! Going through Nick Cruz's Twitter, he tweeted out a day ago that he called out Kyle for pushing liberalism and racism.
Wow!
How is Kyle racist? Dude, come on.
He's white. That's why.
Oh, that's right. They hate white people. That's right.
He nearly eliminated the drone war. Unlike Obama, unlike Trump, he actually nearly eliminated the drone war.
Goodness, people.
You didn't say that.
Probably because probably because Kyle doesn't support China literally taking over the world.
Don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I gotta watch.
So
this
basically, you
later.
have a New Deal Democrat in Trump.
Oh,
and so
God.
the Democrats are really
5
struggling.
minutes of
with
this video.
what
I'm
they
not
Fuck
looking-
off! He's the furthest thing from that possible.
I'm not looking forward to watching this 6 minute of garbage, but let's get back to this video.
New Deal Democrat in Trump. And so the Democrats are really struggling.
Trump is
What
not
would you
New
say
Deal,
they
you
stand for now? Will they
stupid
say we stand
cunt.
against Trump's abuses of the LGBTQ community? He appointed the highest ranking out gay in American history.
I don't care. He hates
None of us
gay
care about
people.
that.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
She said, you have a New Deal Democrat in Trump. I take back what I said. She's not a sucker. She's a disgusting, pathetic liar. If you are a professional political commentator, your
She's a
only
grifter.
job is
She's
to
a
actually know
grifter.
what's
That's
going
her
on.
job.
Right? There's a
Dumb,
lot of
dumb
people
leftist.
there's a lot of
CIA,
chatter. There's a lot of
honestly.
people having takes on
Just
other
a dumb,
people's
dumb
takes.
leftist who
Fuck
horseshoe
that.
theory.
Do you know what's actually happening at the legislative level, at the policy level, what they fight for, and what gets implemented? So the New Deal Democrat, Donald Trump, what did he do? He killed an increase in overtime pay for millions of people. That was put through by Biden. He killed it. Just this week, he killed the $15 minimum wage for federal contractors. Again, Biden did that. Yep. He rolled it back. Giant middle finger to 400,000 federal contractors, lowering their wages. What else did he do? He opposed the PRO Act and a minimum wage increase. The absolute bare minimum to be able to say you're on the economic left
people.
or
He
you're
wants
a
you all
New Deal
dead.
type person. Opposed
he wants
the
you
PRO
all
Act, which is
dead,
the
or,
pro-union
dead or
bill.
enslaved or both.
Again, if you want base workers' rights and protectionism, Based Biden is the way you go, people. Oh, you don't like hearing that? Old man senile brain dead Biden did everything you wanted,
And
apparently.
the $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
He destroyed the NLRB with anti-union picks. The NLRB, Biden had a resurgence of the NLRB, and it was very pro-union. Trump killed that already. He destroyed the CFPB, which is basically the anti-scam police, which makes sure that Americans don't get defrauded by big banks and Wall Street and big financial institutions. It returned $20 billion to Americans who were defrauded. Trump already killed it. Elon already killed it. Let's look at his jobs record. He outsourced, Trump did, 200,000 factory jobs in his first term alone. In this second term, Trump announced, we're killing the CHIPS Act, which means we were supposed to get an extra 115,000 factory jobs. He just killed those jobs. They're not coming here anymore. How about his tax bill? His bill raises taxes. His policies raise taxes on the bottom 95% of Americans and cuts them for the billionaires. Right now, they're already
He's a
cutting
moron with
Social
his
Security.
tariffs.
Elon's doing that. We already have horror stories
Yep.
of people who they say
And
are
he's
dead,
added a
war, dead,
25%
so they're cutting
tariff on
Social Security. They're going
cars.
to aim for it even more.
So-
Medicare's on the table. Medicaid, House Republicans just passed a bill, $880 billion to cut Medicaid. Trump supports that bill, which means he supports a big cut to healthcare, big cut to Medicaid. 2.3 million people lost health insurance in Trump's first term. And of course, he opposes universal health care. On what planet is that a New Deal Democrat's ideology? You know what a New Deal Democrat would support? It's Bernie. It's universal health care. It's free college.
AOC.
It's
and
eliminate the medical
Walz.
debt.
Yep.
Eliminate the student
Yep.
loan debt. Support the PRO Act. Support a higher minimum
Sam
wage.
Cedar.
That's Bernie.
Yes.
That's Bernie. And
they would not last this moment against him.
No matter how horrible, even the fucking Kirsten Cinemas and the Joe
They
Mancins
never
of the
will.
world are two.
We all know damn well eventually they're going to get so triggered they're just going to call him an anti-Semitic slur.
Yeah.
They won't be able to control themselves.
The left of Trump on economics. No doubt about it. God damn it. And also, again, there's this thing online, right, where it's fashionable to always gotta hand it to Trump. Bro, you made a good point.
No, how about that?
Bro, said
Trump
this
gets no
thing.
credit
I
for
think he's
anything
actually
because he's
New
a
Deal
moron.
Nope.
There's this weird thing online where, gotta hand it to
Never.
Trump.
He should
And
never
nobody
get credit for anything ever.
That sounds like something Dim Full would say. Gotta hand it to Trump and my beanie hat.
Ever does that with Biden. Ever. I've never heard anybody, hey, look, I got a lot of problems with him, but on this thing in particular, hey, it was pretty good. So, for example, Biden signed the $15 minimum wage for federal contractors. Big raise for 400,000 workers. Not only that,
Based
it had
old
automatic
man
pay
senile
increase in it, so it was
Biden.
actually 1775 when Trump came in and killed it.
Based brain dead
Biden
Biden.
also increased
Based
Social Security
dead
payments. We talked about
Biden.
on the show a few months ago.
Based Dark Brandon.
He raised overtime pay.
Yep.
He did project labor agreements for construction workers, which raises their pay. Under Biden's term, we had an increase of 775,000 manufacturing jobs that he
Again,
created between
base
the CHIPS Act and the
protectionist. How about
infrastructure
that?
bill and his various
Yeah.
economic policies, which
And
revitalized
yet these people
American
oppose it
manufacturing.
because they want
The
to.
thing
They
that
want
you
to be
pretend Trump
fucked
did,
in
which
the
he didn't
ass
do
by
at all. He
Donald
did the
Trump.
opposite. Then, of course, we have his pro-labor NLRB, his CFPB, which was phenomenal and returned a lot of money to a lot of Americans
you
who were
claim
screwed.
to support all these things, people, you support Democrats. It's the end of discussion. At the very least.
Exactly.
Or you vote for Greens or don't vote at all. But Republicans, you never ever vote for ever.
And of course, Biden cracked down on wealthy tax cheats. You're not going to hear any of this from Batya. She's a narrative humper. She's a narrative humper. She's got her narrative, and she's going to ride it into the fucking sunset.
Contrarian,
Her
grifting
narrative is,
cunts.
Trump actually outflanked Democrats
like
on
all
the
you
left.
dipshit, dumb
I
leftists
just
on
broke
Twitter.
out to you how that is complete and utter bullshit. But clearly, there's no amount of empirical reality that is going to shake her of this fucking delusion. It just doesn't exist. Because at this moment, if you're still saying this, I mean, I got nothing for you.
You're as dumb and ignorant as
You're
Hassan.
looking at administration, which is taking a sledgehammer
Dumber
to the
and more
administrative state
ignorant,
and
which
the
is
regulatory
saying
state,
something.
slashing government programs, slashing the social safety net, right? Imperialist foreign policy, bragging about being warmongers. You're looking at this, and you're going, bro, New Deal lefty. Even the tariff point is stupid because, yes, is there a way to do tariffs that's intelligent? Sure. You could even argue in some way in Trump's first term, it was way more intelligent than
Yes, that's exactly how Biden did it.
Biden kept some of the Trump tariffs in place. Why? Because he actually did sort of have that philosophy, more of a New Deal era philosophy when it comes to stuff like that. Tariffs make sense if they're very targeted and if it's about specific industries. And yes, you raise the price of the foreign good to incentivize buying the American good. But you have to invest with American tax money in the American good as...
And also, it would encourage all these foreign companies to build stuff in America, which is a win-win for both ways.
Well, in order to make it worth it. Not only that, but across-the-board tariffs are just the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. It's basically a giant regressive tax on 99% of Americans if you do across-the-board tariffs with our top fucking allies. So it's not like tariff good, tariff bad. No, it's like tariffs can be good depending on the specifics, depending on the details. But all of that nuance gets fucking wiped away.
It requires nuance, people. It depends on the good. It depends on the countries. There are hundreds of thousands.
Those people, I'm going to say now, they can't even use they don't even know how to spell the word nuance.
Yep.
Because she wants to make a dumb pro-Trump point. I'm a MAGA lefty. That is not a thing. That is not a thing. If you're a MAGA lefty, you're fucking confused. If you're a MAGA lefty, you need to go back to political science 101. Okay, so I've had enough. I've had enough of these people. I don't know if you could tell. It's like I'm having fucking flashbacks to Jimmy Dore's idiocy. He's probably still doing the same shit.
He is. Of course he is, because Nick Cruz tweeted out his shit earlier. I was just reading a moment ago.
Yep.
Yep. The extent to which that requires you not knowing anything about policy and what's actually happened is immeasurable. And it drives me crazy. That is just the vibes. It's just what Trump says. It's never what he fucking does. Because if you look at what he does, what is Trump?
A moron.
He's a fucking robber baron, imperialist, colonialist, anarcho-capitalist corporatist. Like, there's a million ways we could describe him. But every single one of the things is objectively bad. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and...
Yeah. So what do you gotta say about that? Stupid, grifting, dumb leftist, horseshoe-fearing cunts as always.
Yep, that's no fucking surprise. No fucking surprise.
Fucking morons. Get fucked, all you idiots. But hey, with that, we've covered all the topics. So see you all next time for episode 126.
See you then.